So welcome to today's show, and Jerry and I are joined by a legend of the Whitewell Road, a legend of Malacans in Belfast, Phil Brown. Phil, how you doing?
Doing brilliant, lads. Absolute pleasure to be on. Thanks for that intro, Simba.
Great to have you. Great to have you on, Phil.
We tell the
Cheers,
truth,
lads.
Phil. So Phil, you're out in California, and you're running a very successful podcast called Beyond the Pitch. You're talking to the stars on a daily basis. You talk a lot about Man United. You give the good old Malacans a mention, which is brilliant. And you've spoken recently to Wee Frampton. I heard your podcast, absolutely brilliant with Carl Frampton. So talk us through how you got out there, a wee bit about your background back home in Belfast, and take it away, big man.
Well, sure. I mean, some of you know me quite well. Born North Belfast, grew up in the way well. Football was my life, as it was for many kids. Grew up what we would call a mixed marriage. My mum Protestant from York Road, and my dad's Catholic from Ardoyne. And so I always actually appreciated that, because growing up I was always able to go into both communities without any problems. I went to school with Protestants, but after school all my friends were Catholics, and I loved that. So I was always accepted no matter where I went, and really it always meant a lot to me the way I was accepted to the Balmore ones, by the Balmore ones and everything, who never once gave me a bit of bother. Especially, you remember what it was like during them times, lads. It didn't take much, and for conflict to happen, but it meant so much to me as a kid to feel that warmth and genuine love from boys that otherwise, like, I was going to Protestant school, and it was really interesting. One of my closest friends back home was Liam McKernan, and when we used to get on the bus together, we'd sit beside each other, and he was getting off at Hightown, I was going up a road to Glengormley, and that was almost unheard of at the time, because we'd have to get different buses, and we did that all the way through secondary school, and we'll always remain very, very close friends. So the upbringing in Belfast that I had has provided me with a terrific springboard for life, and I am so fortunate that I had experiences that most kids out here will never have. And it's almost weird, because the Troubles almost brought a camaraderie and a closeness to us all that that you don't get anywhere else. And I have you mentioned Carl Frampton. No, there's no way I would get access to Carl Frampton, Mickey Conlon, and all these people if I wasn't from Belfast. And I love how people from our city always love to see each other do well, and we always protect each other, we have each other's back, and we're for such a small place, we overperform no matter what we do. So growing up, that was my life, and then when I was, playing for Kilmarnock Colts as a kid, which I loved, left Kilmarnock Colts, signed for Carrick Rangers, went down there for a couple of years, and I really wasn't enjoying my football down there, and Brad McChrystal was at me for ages to go play for Hillview. I got a 9-match suspension for Carrick Rangers for punching a guy in the face and then smacking the referee with the ball. And it turned out that the guy punched in the face, we were going to Scotland a week later with the Belfast team. I didn't know. So it was a bit embarrassing when he got on the bus, he had a big shiner. I'm like, how'd you get that, mate? But in between those times of that suspension, Rob asked me to play with Hillview, Balmore. I had a wee sense of obligation anyway, because I knew a lot of them lads, but I was a bit arrogant. I really didn't want to drop down that level, but I loved it so much that I never left. And then after the Hillview was over, I went to Mal's, and between the Hillview and the Mal's, two best experiences playing football I've ever had. The friendships that we built there, I've carried through the rest of my life, and remain close to everybody. And being away from that in America, it's a good life. It's something that has an ache in my heart. It burns, especially when you have hard times and you're looking for people around you that you can really trust, that truly understand you, almost on a clairvoyant level that you just don't get here. And so I do miss it desperately. And I would say to anybody who lives at home who thinks about moving away, when you're looking at these things, what you have in terms of closeness with people, you'll never find again. So I wouldn't change where I'm from for anything in the world. I'm very proud of it. I love the way we grew up. Obviously, we wish we had have been able to prosper in different ways without the conflict. But I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't rather be from anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely. Best wee city in the world, I always say. And we've spoken on the phone there, Phil, and you were actually just saying that it's even great to hear a voice from home because, as you just alluded to it there, everybody back here is delighted that you're doing well. It's the same with Jerry as well. And I do think we're the Irish are a breed apart. There's no question about that. Especially when I've never lived abroad, but living abroad, I think it brings it all home. My brothers lived in Australia and England for a while, and they said the same things that you did. And I'm sure Jerry feels that too, being in Spain.
Yes.
Yeah, you just don't get it. And again, doing the podcast and doing the stories, it's just brought me together with players and friends that I haven't spoke to in years and years, you know, as far away as Australia and stuff like that. But like alluding to what Colin said there, you know, he got homesick when he moved up the up that road. You know,
I went to Jordan.
He's way. You know, he still brings a Babs. Yeah. He brings a wee Belfast Babs and the soda breads down to his man every morning. You know, he still goes down to away. Well, I don't think, apart from going to Spain for his 2 weeks holidays, he's been away from the White Club.
Here, I have to tell you the truth. My dad brings him up to me.
But see on that, lads, being so far away from home, when I hear a Belfast accent, wherever it is, you know, secondary to that is an Irish accent, but if I hear one of our accents, especially if they're doing well at anything, it's just fantastic, you know, because our stories are all so similar, and what we've had to emerge from, you know, a lot of negativity and lack of opportunity, but the resilience that's built inside of us, you know, from that struggle is really comes through when we move abroad and people see that tightness. Like, I mean, I speak to people here from every ethnicity, race, all over the world, and they are a bit envious of the way we are very protective of each other. You know, you'll see us online, somebody comes after one of you, you know, then all Belfast ones are in, they all have your back, or like, you know, we all protect each other. And I honestly think it's brilliant because most people in life will never experience that.
100%, Phil. Honest to God, even like you talk about Malacans. I remember playing for Malacans, and if one was hit, everybody was hit. It was just a camaraderie you very rarely see.
You never see it, you know. And I've played for loads of football teams after it, and that just doesn't exist. There's not the same trust, or you know, we all knew each other inside out. We knew what our goodness was, our badness was. There was no. Everyone that, I mean, if you were, forget my language, like dickhead and played for, you were soon pointed out to you. You know, there was no big time Charlies. It was, you know, obviously some players had egos, were fantastic players, but wasn't out of control. And look, it's something that when I have fallen on hard times myself mentally, it's meant so much to me to be able to reach out to people who would be there in a heartbeat, who say that and genuinely mean it. And, you know, I don't know about yourselves, lads, but if I see one of our athletes on the world stage do well, I almost cry with joy, because you sort of live through them a bit, and you see one of our own kids up there being successful. And normally we're celebrating athletes from other parts of the world, but when you grow up in a city that has conflict, and then you move away and your identity is constantly questioned, where, you know, you defend it, you grow a sense of, you know, pride over it. And so when you see our kids do well, whatever it is, it means the world to me. It really does.
And I think it's accentuated, Phil, when you're away from home. You know,
yes, absolutely.
I mean, I remember our Sean was in Australia and used to play like Barnbrack in Belfast and cry to it at night.
Oh man, madness! I've done all of it.
Yeah, I used to sit in the house.
Well, I mean, we're all proud of, everyone's proud of where they come from to a degree, lads, right? But, you know, like we said, when you come from a city where there's conflict, where your identity is constantly under question, and you know that when you go home, Van Morrison sings a song too, Irish Heartbeat, that it's very synonymous of what it's like, you know, don't stray so far from your own ones, because one of the things that I've found in life, only buys comfort, it'll never buy happiness. And true happiness, you know, first of all, comes from love. You deprive a human being of love, you get a serial killer, you get something absolutely horrendous, right? And so security in life, happiness in life comes from immaterial things. And because we were all very similar in terms of our means, not like you, some of you were loaded, but everyone else who was living normal, right? Most of us who were you know, in an American classroom here, you'll have a massive disparity of means. Like you'll have some kids that are barely affording the sandwiches in their lunchbox, and you'll have other kids that are being dropped off in massive Cadillacs that are loaded. We didn't really have that. Most people were more or less the same in terms of what we had. So
we're all skinned together.
Exactly. And so we knew that with the community, we couldn't raise each other's kids. Just a quick story. There's, you know, back home, if you did something wrong and you got a ball tune from one of the neighbours or something, I couldn't go into my dad and say, here, he gave me an arse tune. Right? Well, here, you must have done something to deserve it, right? Because it takes a village. See, here, you ball like a kid and you have a whole street down. You know, can't talk to my child like that there and all. You know, so it's just totally different. There's not the same community and connection. So I desperately miss that.
And do you think you'll ever come home, Phil?
Do you know something about, if you'd asked me this before Trump got elected, I probably would have said it was most likely not. But as you go through the different stages in your life, the reasons why I came out here, you know, I've already been satisfied. You know, I wanted to come out here to experience living in a different world. You know, as a young single lad, you know, going to America, they got to do lots of different things. Now I'm a middle-aged man, I've got young kids and I want different things out of life. I don't chase money anymore. I don't chase all the material things. So where I see America going concerns me deeply. Americans are quickly substituting themselves from being citizens to subjects. And I don't like where it's becoming more and more partisan and where how your worth is defined on your ability to consume, you know. So, you know, people's worth out here is that the nice neighborhoods get all the nice things because they can spend money. Where in poor neighborhoods, you see this with COVID-19 desperately affecting the poor and those who don't have means. And I just don't evaluate human beings that way. And so I don't want my kids to be like that. So certainly it's definitely something I would consider, yes.
Brilliant. And Phil, you know, we're just through Mental Health Week back here, and I know that's a subject close to your heart. Do you want to open up and tell us a bit about your story?
Well, I mean, when I was a young lad growing up in Belfast, I had a very pejorative view of drugs and depression and all that. I just thought it was a weakness, and I thought junkies were worthless. You know, I didn't understand it. That was my own ignorance. But in 2007, life was perfect. I just bought my first house. I had opened up my own business, and I became a father to my son Aiden. Everything was perfect. Couldn't be better. I was happy. And then life has this way of upended everything when you think it's perfect. I come home from work one day, December 4th, 2007, and I opened the front door. And I found she was my wife to be. I was coming home to put a Christmas tree up that day. It's our first Christmas as parents, and couldn't have been happier. And I found her dead. She was sitting on a settee. She was looking at the TV where I left her. It was the day Celtic played AC Milan in the Champions League, because I remember texting her when I left. I forgot to record it. I was texting her. I left the house. I texted her within, I don't know, 30 seconds of leaving the house, because we used to go down the stairs to garages across the way. And her phone was sitting beside her, and the text message was never read, ever, right? So it had happened immediately when I left the house, and it'd been off just before that, because out here it was Thanksgiving. So if it had happened any other time, I would have been home. But anyway, this is a long story, and I'll try not to babble too much. But I came in from work. I was actually supposed to go on to another call in LA, and I decided to come home early. And if I hadn't come home early, I don't know what would have happened, because she was dead, but my wee boy, who was 10 months old at the time, wasn't. And he was sitting between her feet. And it was December. So the gas electric fire was lit. And there was no fire on it, because she was going to leave right behind me. And where we lived, it was an upstairs condo. So the front door was still open a wee bit. Luckily, there was a screen door on it, because, again, she was going to leave behind me. So when I came home, the dog knew she died. And dogs obviously smell it, I would assume. And he lay across my son's feet. So he was basically sitting upright against the settee. his wee feet down, because he would have crawled all over the place. And he was alone with her dead body for hours, right? So when I saw her, I still have really bad PTSD with it that I try to treat, but there's weird what sticks in your mind when these things happen. So I jumped over the tea, and I remember her arms had all these blotches on it where her circulation had stopped, and her eyes just rolled back into her head. And tried to give her CPR, but she was freezing. And so I called 911 out here, and the fire brigade came out. They were the first ones here, and they just threw me out of the way, grabbed me off her, threw her out of the way, and they put the pads on her. And they'd done it 2 or 3 times, and the guy just said to me, "I'm sorry, she's been gone for a while." And I was in so much shock. I was trying hard to process it because everything was happening so fast. And I don't know how long, it seemed like seconds after it happened, her mother called on the phone and was asking me to put her on the phone because she was trying to get a hold of her, obviously, and I couldn't tell her. So I handed the phone. The cops had already got here at this stage, and I handed the phone to the cop, and I said, "That's her mother." And so I said, "I can't tell her." So the cop told her. And I mean, growing up in Belfast, we heard the screams of mothers burying their children, and this guttural scream from her mother, who hadn't had an easy life herself, terrible. And same with her sister, who they were very, very close. I was very difficult because at the time, again, I wasn't putting any of this together, but I was being questioned by the police because they're like, "There's a 30-year-old woman dead on the floor here. What's going on?" And I get put in handcuffs. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, what's happening here? And they're like, "Well, this is a crime scene." But what really annoyed me, and I thought was really, really insensitive, was her dead body was on the floor, and they were questioning me in front of her. But my wee boy was climbing all over the top of her, and I'm like, "Can you please lift my child off his mother's dead body? I'm going to remember this the rest of my life. You see this every day, but I don't." And so finally, one of the cops came in and lifted him off her. And my sister had shown up at this time, so they gave the baby to my sister. Now, it took me out of handcuffs relatively quickly, but I mean, they were investigating me for murder at the time. I didn't know this because I was all over the place mentally. And then I remember the coroner came in to take her body away, and the dog was trying to beg the coroner, wouldn't let them touch her and everything. And finally, I had to go and lift the dog off her and took her body out. And the dog got along. The dog lay there in the same spot for days, wouldn't eat. But I remember it must have been a couple of hours went past, and I was sitting on my own in the house, and I just sat in the tea. And I'm like, I cannot believe within the space of a couple of hours, my life has completely changed. And it happened relatively quickly. I went into a really manic depression. It absolutely destroyed me. I adored this girl. I mean, I absolutely adored her. She'd been to Belfast. Her granddad was from Belfast. She was raised in Las Vegas. She loved it over there. And this was going to be my wife. I mean, I absolutely adored this woman. She was just everything to me. And so it just, when you go into that state, first of all, you do find out who your friends are, right? Because people judge quickly, right? But how long you should be grieving for, how long you should grieve for before you move on with someone else. And I get judged on all that. And I ended up meeting a girl who is now my wife, was relatively quickly, but so of course people accused me, "Oh, you were cheating and everything," but it wasn't that. It was because I was so afraid of being alone. And I had no family. Mum and dad was at home. And I remember went to the doctor maybe a couple of days after this had happened. And I'm sure this was down to mental illness, but I didn't know it at the time. There was a lot of I suppose paranormal things happening in the house. Like in the middle of the night, all the TVs would come on blaring, right? And I wasn't the only one to see this. And I remember pictures and everything being turned around on inside the picture frame, you know, and just loads of stuff were happening. And so I went and told my doctor about this, and he said to me, look, if I send you to therapy to get grief counseling out there and you tell them this, they're going to think you're going nuts and they're going to take your kid off you, right? So I was denied important mental health treatment when I really needed it. So I was afraid to tell anyone in authority of what was really happening to me. And so there was this girl who used to cut my hair, who I knew quite well, and she was helping me with a lot of stuff. And it was definitely a massive rebound, and definitely I can understand why people judge me for it. But it wasn't for the reasons people think. It was because I was just petrified of being alone with my child and losing him, because he was all I had left. And I knew if they take him off me, I will 100% take my own life, because he was the only reason why I didn't. And I thought about it almost every minute of every day. And in some ways it's weird. I was like maybe 5% resentful that I had a child, that I could, so it was preventing me from ending my own suffering, because I just wanted to die. And a couple of years before that, I'd lost my right kidney due to some complications. So that now meant I had to have about 5 left knee operations because of football. I was being prescribed these painkillers, opiates. And I remember the first time I took them, took 2 of them, it's called Vicodin. And that was the first time I didn't feel like I wanted to end my life, right? And of course, 2 turns into 3, turns into 4, and before you know it, you're a full-blown junkie. I don't really like that word, but you're fully dependent upon these chemicals to feel okay. And, you know, by the end of that addiction summer, you know, I was on maybe 30 tablets a day. I was disgraceful, really. But it was my coping mechanism of trying to deal with this. I was self-employed, so my business was being destroyed because I couldn't go to work, which was adding to the stress and the pressure, and trying to live in a house that I just bought, where, you know, the woman of my dreams had died in it, and I wanted out of it. So I just felt so trapped in life, and I didn't know how to cope with this. I didn't really have the life skills to cope with this, you know. And so and I lost a lot of my close friends around me, because no one wants to be around a dark cloud, grief all the time. I didn't know how to get out of it. You know, I didn't know how to live a normal life. So it was just manic depression and addiction, and just every day, like, you know, the closest I came to taking my own life was I wrote a letter, recorded a video and everything for my son. And I just said, I'm really sorry. I don't want to, please understand how much pain I'm in and all this. And it's weird how small little interventions happen, you know. And I had lifted the chair up because I want to do it in the garage. And when I lifted the chair up, this wee picture fell out of my pocket. It's very difficult not to break down telling this, but it's very emotional. And I just said, give me 5 more minutes, just give me 5 more minutes, and then I'll do it then. Okay. And that's why I'm still here. And weird, like, I remember the first time I was intimate with my current wife. My previous wife had bought me, or fiance bought me a key ring. And I would stay in a hotel, and I wanted to lift that key ring off the table, and it was smashed in 2. And someone took a picture of me in bed from the ceiling, and I still have it on my phone. I don't know who took it and how it was taken, but lots of stuff like this were happening. And so, you know, it's been since 2007, and I've never resolved it emotionally. It destroyed my physical health. Since then, I've, like I said, 5 knee surgeries, 2 spinal surgeries. My gallbladder burst. I've multiple neck surgeries, wrist surgeries. So most of this was just from I self-harmed. You know, I lost 70 pounds in 4 months just from starving myself, because I loathed myself so much, because I felt like such a failure in my kids and just a worthless piece of shit. And so now my attitude towards this is totally different. When I see almost all addiction is a result of emotional pain, and the medical community has very little solutions with this because human behavior there's so many variables that goes into this, and some of it genetic, some of it social conditioning, some of it, is your environment. There's lots of different reasons why people feel the way they feel, and it's very hard to treat. But something that really has helped me a lot outside of, I don't take antidepressants or anything like that. I won't do that. But something that's helped me a lot is I really get into meditation, and that helped me a lot. And philosophy, that has helped me. And this keeps me, if I sit around, then I will get depressed. So I have to keep busy. And fortunately enough, I'm really lucky to come from where I come from, lads. Sorry to give this a long-winded answer, but the people that never abandoned me ever in all of this was the people from home. And I kiss the ground every day that I come from that city, because not once was I judged, not once was anyone telling me you need to move on, you need to go. Everyone was just love, peace, and sympathy, and whatever I needed. And I'm so grateful for that, because I see it in other people. When I see someone else struggling or in pain, I don't judge, because I just know that we're all trying to do the best we can and cope the best we can. And emotional pain unresolved will destroy you. So that I do a lot now for mental health. Like I always make myself available to other people. I do a podcast where I interview other people who are struggling. I interviewed a guy last week, Kyle Martino, who played with Beckham of the Galaxy, played for USA national team, very, very close friend of mine. And he does the Premier League out here, and he's very open. His mother-in-law is Susan Sarandon. He's married into a very famous family. But he told me about his own issues, and this is so prevalent that finally, when I get to a point where people can talk about this without being judged, but until we get to a point where if I call my boss and say, I'm struggling mentally, I can't come in today, and that's treated the same way as a cold or a flu or whatever, and the boss goes, right, no problems, we understand that, we still have so much work to do. Because especially with boys, if you look at juvenile suicide from boys outnumber girls almost 4-1, and that trend continues. It closes a little bit at 18, but it goes all the way through, and more has to be done. So it's great that you boys are doing this, and brilliant you're doing this podcast.
I have to say, Phil, that's an absolutely heartbreaking story. But I think you're being very humble. You're actually doing quite a lot, especially, we're all from North Belfast, where it's extremely prevalent, mental health and suicides, unfortunately. And you being so open and so honest, and we had Gavin Clements on the other week speaking about counselling session. Phil, honestly, I know Jerry will be the same. You're only to be admired, and
thank you, man.
I think I've been eating onions here while you've been speaking, so I've no shame in saying I've shed it here. Genuinely heartbreaking story, and it's testament to your strength that you're actually able to sit here and tell that story.
Well, I mean, and I appreciate those really kind words, lads, but the whole purpose of me doing it is because people sometimes look at my life and think I live this opulent life of luxury. I'm living in LA, or some sort of Instagram lifestyle that should be admired. Even like if people commenting on my weight, oh, you're looking great. And I've always said, look, don't be envious, because this is not healthy weight loss. This is through self-harm. Secondly, I don't live this opulent life of luxury, and I don't even like people thinking that. I'm struggling just like you are, and so it's really important. Like, I've had a lot of people reach out to me who have struggled with their own issues and we all find safety in numbers, right? So we can all come out and speak about this, where we feel like we're not going to get judged, and where it's okay. It took a long time before I was honest about it, because I was afraid. I was afraid of the consequences of it. I was afraid of losing jobs and people. It's ridiculous that this is. But when I did it 2 years ago, when I done a YouTube video on it, I was amazed at how many people reached out to me, and really quite amazed at how many professional athletes came to me and said they're in exactly the same position. And I think there's more. when you look at our life, especially here, opiate addiction is off the charts, right? If I had died, someone would have called me an opiate addict, but I wasn't an opiate addict. That was a consequence of my depression. And so that is not addressing the root cause. And when you look at people's lives, and I can't emphasize this enough, if you work solely for the purpose of money, you will find yourself in this position, because money will never compensate you or bring you enough happiness to make up for doing a job you don't like, for someone you don't like, that provides no spiritual nourishment, that provides no happiness in your life. You'll never be able to make that up in your time off. And there's so many people out here, and it's the same back home too, they do a job they detest for someone they don't like. They can't afford a holiday. They can't, they don't do things for themselves. They're in this terrible cycle of work, pay bills, work, pay bills, work, pay bills. So when you give them something to alleviate their symptoms, just to bring them temporary happiness, they'll take it. We are forever synonymous with alcohol. It's not because the Irish love drinking. It was the only narcotic available to many Irish to self-medicate through what was horrendous suffering of 800 years. Now, young kids coming up who have access, because we didn't have access to drugs because paramilitaries didn't allow it, with some stupid stuff. But now you look at young kids in Belfast today, they're on tramadol, they're on all sorts of stuff. And so when people associate me with alcohol all the time, I always remind them, look, I'm not flattered by it, because that really is a symptom of the suffering that so many had to endure. Previous generations, what our parents went through, is truly ridiculous, scandalous. And drink was, I don't know anyone that wasn't raised, especially in Belfast, who didn't have alcohol affect them in some way through a family member. My mum and dad were heavy drinkers, and I was deeply ashamed of this growing up. It affected me in everything that I did, and it still does. Like, anytime I would get anywhere in football where I would get close to success, I'd always get imposter syndrome. I'd always feel like, you're not good enough, you're worthless, you don't belong in this level. Like, I always felt more comfortable at the bottom, because I always felt like that's where I belong. And even out here, when I'm like rich houses now, I'm always feeling like I don't belong here. This is, I have imposter syndrome with everything. And so the shame that you get from growing up in an environment like that, I love my mom and dad dearly. It's not their fault. They're my whole world. And they did everything they could for me. But I was always deeply ashamed of that, and never wanted to achieve any level of notoriety in case that came out. I'll give you an example. I remember I got picked for Belfast, and I had to play down in Jordanstown. My mom and dad had to hide behind a tree to watch me, because I was so ashamed of them. As a kid growing up, I would not let them come watch me play football anywhere. And their drinking was, it really, my level of self-confidence throughout my whole life was deeply affected by that. So, and I know that's true for a lot of people.
I wonder, was that to do with the fact that what we took for normal was absolutely...
Listen, when you look at what we consider to be normal, when I tell people out here what we normalize in our environment, they don't believe me. Then they see it on like Netflix documentaries and everything, and they look at me and they're like, how were you raised in that environment? They were showing you a thing on here the other day about Michael Stone, and throwing hand grenades at funerals. I mean, it's just absolute madness what we were raised in, and what we did normalize and what we thought was okay. I mean, we were dodged bombs, bullets, plastic bullets, punishment, beating. You couldn't wear a football top in the wrong area. It's just absolute insanity. And politicians pushed hatred to the extreme, and it spilled over. We were failed. And that's exactly what's happening here. In pushing ideology to extreme, which will spill over into violence. And politicians failed their communities, because the only thing that comes from that is bloodshed. And it's good to see that the younger generation in Belfast now and across all of Ireland are resisting that temptation. Obviously, you've still got some of it, but our kids are growing up without that violence, and hopefully they have a brighter future, because I think we have to find a way in Ireland to have people celebrate their culture without it being immersed in someone else's oppression. So you can't have somebody celebrating their culture with burning effigies of someone. You have to find a way of saying, I'm going to celebrate my culture and you're welcome to come celebrate it too, right? Until we get there, then I think we're still going to have problems, because a lot of these cultural celebrations are almost as much about giving it two fingers the other side as it is about celebrating their culture.
Mm-hmm. I think just touching all that sort of trouble stuff and the drink, maybe we're experiencing a lot of what other countries see as normal in terms of suicide that we didn't see the troubles. I mean, I can't remember ever hearing anyone kill themselves when I was growing up. You know, they were being killed.
Yes.
They were taking their own lives.
That's very true, very true.
So
yes.
this could be just a sort of a throwback to what was happening in maybe other countries that we didn't experience. And it's not a nice one, but genuinely, and this is Jerry and I are keen to try and raise as much awareness as possible.
Brilliant.
So honestly, what you're doing is beyond amazing. Like genuinely, I can tell you, I was listening to your podcast with Carl Frampton, crying, honestly crying because of your bravery and your honesty in telling your story. It's something else. And with beyond the pitch, and you're talking about lots of positive things. Sorry, Jay.
No, I was just going to say, well, I became across Phil just on the internet because you're a Mad United fan like myself, and started following your story. And it was only when, I think it was only about a week or 10 days ago, I was out in the paddleboard and I downloaded the SoundCloud podcast with Carl, and that's when I first heard your actual story. I knew there was... You'd always mentioned it in different tweets or in different things that I'd heard, but I never knew the full story. And it was only then, as I said, I had to pull over. My paddleboard ended up, I lay down it, and like Colin said, I was actually crying listening to you. There was the first time I heard the full story. I was crying my eyes out in the paddleboard. But as you say, you know, you get strength from it. And me and Colin are looking to give something back. We're looking at a platform where people to come on, speak about it. And try and, as I say, we're all from Belfast. We love Belfast. Yes. We're trying to give as much back as possible.
Well, first of all, lads, the intention was not to affect people like that. I really am not someone that wants sympathy, and sometimes I get a wee bit embarrassed telling, because I'm afraid that people might think that. But what the main point of me doing that is for two reasons. So one of it, I said that I didn't want people to think I'm live, because the internet's full of shit, right? People think that you've got these influencers in Miami and all these gorgeous places that think they're living a different life, and you can get very envious of other people's life on Facebook. Nobody uploads the dark side, and everybody has dark sides. Everybody has the negative. There's no one living a perfect life. There's no one perfectly happy. So I wanted to dispel that myth right away, because a lot of times when I go home, I'll be sitting in a fountain or whatever, and people will be like, you must be living some life out there, these cars. And it's like, listen, it's not like that, right? So I wanted to dispel that myth first of all, and also for this, because I want people to also realize we all have a role in this, right? We all have to do something. And when you started doing the stories, Daddy, I was really hoping you would turn into a podcast, because all our lives are about telling stories, right? And lucky enough to have the internet now where these stories can get told, rather than just a small circle of friends. Now you can spread this to lots of different people. I look at people listening to my stuff all across the world. It's incredible. But when I am fortunate enough to come from a place where, and America doesn't have this, lots of countries don't have this, where we can almost recognize everything that we're experiencing and how we express it. If you tell a story, I can almost put myself there, right? Because every word, vernacular, your expressions, everything is so familiar. Same with Simba. So we're all so similar. We're all so close, and the love that I get when I go home is truly incredible. So I think we all have a responsibility, especially if we have a platform, lads. You played football at high level, Terry. People look up to you. Simba, you've been very successful in life. You're a great fella. You're doing a great job. And even if 5 people listen to this, and somebody takes something from it. I'm doing a podcast now with a kid I partnered with him, Football CFB, and he's a young Scottish kid, and he reached out to me, his ma reached out to me actually in November, and he's been open about this, so I'm not telling anything he hasn't put out there. And his ma says to me, you know, he listens to their show, he's a school teacher in Scotland, and, you know, he's really struggling. You know, he lost his dad at 14. So I talked to the kid, I'm like, you know, just be there for you anytime you need, whatever you need. And now he has this driving podcast himself, and he's talked, these guests are truly unbelievable. He's such a smashing kid. And I always believe, wherever you are in life, you don't stand on people's shoulders, you reach down and pull up, right? Because that's what was done for me. People reach down and pull me up. And I don't want to stand on anyone's shoulders and have them prop me up. I want to help people. And so whatever it is, whether it's one person, 5 people, it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes on a Friday, I'll put a tweet out where I'm saying, if you're struggling, contact me. I don't always do it because sometimes I'm not mentally available for people, right? But when I am, I'll try to help as much as I can. And I think that's incumbent upon all of us, because as you pointed out, lads, the epidemic of suicide in Belfast, you know, we have to do more. You know, there's more has to be done. It can't just be left up to the authorities, because these kids are listening to what we do. And we will, coming from Belfast, we'll reach a kid from Belfast quicker than anybody else will. And I'm genuinely flattered at how many people have reached out to me that have been struggling and taking strength from it and not feel embarrassed about being open. And look, it's not just young kids. There's pensioners that are struggling. There's people. It doesn't matter. And so this is what's going to take for us to normalize these. I mean, let's be honest, lads. I don't know anyone that hasn't struggled at some point mentally, right? But never felt safe about talking about it, because we knew the attitude was always like, here, get that pint in you, you'll be all right, you know? And that was what we did. And you went home and you struggled and you were afraid to tell anyone. You felt like my girlfriend's going to think I'm weakness. Honestly, it's just so stupid. And so I'm so glad you're doing it, Darren. I've seen all the responses that I've got. I had Gavin on in the show as well, talking about Stephen. And I've listened to so many people commenting on your tweets and read, and you know, it's intimate for us because it's from Belfast, but people across the world, if they're from England and all, they have tons of audio resources, TV resources. We don't, right? So it's really important that people like ourselves and other people from a city that have access to platforms give our kids something to cling on to and to make sure they're not left alone.
Yeah, it's the first thing in the morning, Phil. I actually do it for myself first of all. So the first tweet I put out, and the first thing is always positive, and it's always, you know, I'm walking along the beach, I'm doing it for myself. I get something out of it, and then I hope to someone else, you know. And you know, I keep saying it in every podcast and everything we do. I'm a great believer in the secret. What you put into your mind is what you become, and what you think is what you become. You know, and I do it for myself first of all, to get myself in that frame of mind, and then, you know, as you say, reaching out to people. I've had people reach out to me in different forms, not as much as yourself and stuff like that. But again, we set out to say, if we help one people, through the first podcast with Conor Devine, we've had 2 people who are suffering MS, and they've reached out to Conor. You don't know what's going to come off it, but, you know, as I say, if we help one person along the way, that's what our intentions are. So.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, lads, we share the same platform, but I have, you boys have 24/7 access to, and if you've got a message you want to get out, it's always there for you. And something you said there, Jerry, about the secret. When I went on that spiritual journey after, one of the things that I was looking at was philosophy quite a bit. There's a great philosopher on, he's dead now, but you can find him on YouTube, called Alan Watts. And if you listen to Alan Watts, he used to be an Anglican priest. He get out of the priesthood, started studying Zen Buddhism, and what he has done for me mentally about reframing mental thoughts, which is just truly incredible.
Yeah, it's freaky that you say that, because since I said he had done that Twitter call the other day, I watched a documentary and I fell asleep after 15 minutes. I fall asleep every night with earphones and watching a different documentary, and it was that guy you just spoke about. Yeah, freaky.
Brilliant. You know, I'm not name dropping here. Just forgive me for 1 second, but my brother-in-law is Mike Tyson's business partner, so I've sat with Mike a couple of times, and for him, in his depression, he lost his daughter. Alan Watts basically has saved his life. That's what he said to me. You know, and he's such a very, very deep, introspective guy. And, you know, I love boxing as well, but him and I sat and talked about Alan Watts for hours. Spirituality is very, very important to me with my recovery. And I have to believe that there's something more than just, you know, this interminable 70 years of existence and then you disappear. I have a hard time with it.
It's amazing.
How did Phil?
Sorry,
How did you end up getting so close to Manchester United and stuff? Where did that come from, or what was, you know? That's, again, as I say, that's how I got to know of you, through Twitter. We didn't personally know each other, and then, you know, I started following you, and your insight and the stuff that you get with United's, you know, fascinating to me.
So it's interesting. So obviously a big United fan, but like anything, you know, one thing that we're born with is a bit of gravitas, a bit of balls, right? So when I first started this podcast, I told more lies in my LinkedIn profile, right? So I decided I was emailing United, and I was saying things like, have this massive podcast in LA. You know, gets up like 60 trillion followers or 60 trillion listeners. No, you want to get your content on. Most of the time they just ignored me, right? I doubt it had 5 listeners, right? But I would probably send out maybe 30 emails to football clubs all over the world. And most of the time, maybe 29 would say no. But one would say yes. I only needed one because my listeners didn't know about the other 29, right? Yeah. So the first big guest that I got was Henrik Larsson. I near shit myself. I got up one morning, looked at my phone, and I was at Helsingborg. And they said, yes, you can interview him, which was just amazing. And so we got to speak to him, and he was class. So sort of took the same approach, kept emailing United, you know, and a guy called Phil Townsend, who's not there anymore, works at UEFA, a very, very good friend of mine, finally said to me, I tell you what, we're going to do a tour of the States this year. I'll give you a player to interview on your podcast, right? And so at the time, we were getting something like 9,000 media requests a day, right? And I guessed the email format of, because I'd looked at other people's email addresses at United, and they didn't publish everyone else's. So I'm like, so his has to be phil.townsend@manunited.co.uk, right? So eventually they gave me a guy, and they gave me another guy, and it just sort of grew from there. And by the time United twigged that I had no listeners, they didn't really care. They were just like, they admired my balls, you know, and they were just like, yeah, no bother, you know. But they had some rules, you know, like you can't say this, can't do that, can't do this. And they were brilliant with me. And so I just sort of, you know, anytime when they were here, I wasn't satisfied with just asking for an interview. Now I wanted to go down and meet them face to face. And when you meet people face to face, you just keep developing the relationship and the trust. And so this is what we did with everybody, you know, and we would just get all these big interviews, and I couldn't believe it. We were getting them. Like one of the most satisfying things that I've done in this, I sort of told you I was considering going to ESPN. Well, they treated me really badly during that whole process. And whenever Lukaku was signing for United, again, I went to Lukaku's Twitter, and I emailed, there was a link on this Twitter to his management team or whatever. And again, I might have exaggerated 1 or 2 things about how big my reach was. And his agent got back to me. Most people think his agent at that time was Mina Raiola, which it was, but the person that runs that agency is a Brazilian lady called Rafael Pimenta, who's a fucking geek, speaks 7 languages, gorgeous girl, very smart. And I said to her, can I interview him? And she said, yes, but you have to come down today. He's in Santa Monica doing his medical for United. So I go down, I have my dad here actually, and I have my kid, Aiden, and we go down. I have a bunch of United shirts and get them to sign them. And of course, you know, my dad, I give Lukaku a marker, right? And he's sending these United shirts. And my dad walks up to him with a marker and says, Lukaku, where do you want me to sign? Son, you want me to sign the back of your shirt? I'm like, so, kind of like typical, right? Anyway, so I sit down and do like a half an hour one-on-one with him, right? And United, MUTV, haven't even spoke to him yet. It hasn't officially been announced. But I hadn't tweeted out that I had the interview yet, so no one knew. So ESPN, they were getting them later that night on a live interview. So they're blasting all across all their platforms. The live exclusive interview with Romelu Lukaku can be heard. No one else's very first one heard here, right? And I had like a ticker on their Twitter, and they're counting down just 4 hours, 3 hours. Meanwhile, I've already got one in the con here, right? It's already a big half an hour. I've got the exclusive. They don't, right? So I'm just going to sit tight on this, right? And they're they're uploading his goals and everything. And one of the people that interviewed him told arsehole to me always, right? So this Schadenfreude was just gorgeous, right? So just sitting there, and it was about 45 minutes to go before the broadcast are live and exclusive, and I put out a tweet. I'm like, the real live and exclusive can be found right here. A wee paddy with no money and just a wee podcast as a hobby. I beat the worldwide leader in sports, right? So, of course, ESPN see this, and they think I'm spoofing, right? They're like, no chance, mate. We already have it sorted. He's on his way in the studio. Really? So next thing I put out is Lukaku signing my kid's shirts in Santa Monica. And I went on to Lukaku's Instagram, right? Because when he was getting announced on all the news, that it was signing Aiden's shirt. And I said, and I uploaded like about 10 seconds of the interview. And I said, well, I don't know, boys, but if I was in your position, I'd be sweating it just in case. You know? So next thing I start getting direct messages. Well, what's this all about? I'm like, hold on a minute. So about 15 minutes before it goes out, I whack it up. Here it is, the real live and exclusive ESPN. I had to take everything down, right? And I'm like, you can find it here for now. No subscriptions, no nothing. Don't pay him bastards a wing. Here it all is, right? And I'm uploading like videos and all with me and Lukaku. And all right, Rami, mate, real live and exclusive. Right, fuck ESPN, went mental at me. The boss, John Skipper, ringing me. Hey, dude. And I'm like, wait a minute, John. You're bollocking me. What I would do is go out and bollock your staff. You've got about 10 people in there on 6 figures plus. And this wee putty just went down and beat all of them and got the scoop. And I scooped you. You're the one you're fucking owned by Disneyland, mate. Right? I beat all these. Right? So you may take that ticker down, right? And you may put it back up and say, we've got an interview with Lukaku, but the real live and exclusive one's right over here. So, it was a lovely moment because ESPN were wankers to me. We smoothed it over, but I got tons and tons of direct messages from like all their staff laying into me, and I'm like, what? Why do you think I have an obligation to you? You've never put a piece of bread on my table, you know? So there's been moments like that where I've like really enjoyed beating some of the big boys to this.
Some of the big boys.
And how did you deal with the boxing? Was it the same idea? Being economical with the truth?
Well, a wee bit. But we're, again, sort of lucky in that come from Belfast. So I will say, yes, Carl Frampton reached out to me first a couple of years ago. I know some people he knows like out there, but he followed me on Twitter when he only had like about 10,000 followers. So every once in a while I just message him, and he knew I was struggling a bit, and I was really struggling at this time, and he sent me a WhatsApp message, and then he just says, here, listen, whatever you need. And to be fair to that lad, ever since then, you know, he has been there and he's done unbelievable things for me. So, and I also knew Wayne McCulloch out here. So he helped me open the door a wee bit with fighters. I love boxing, and then getting to know Carl. And then Michael Connon lived out in LA for a while. I got to know Michael out here, became good friends with Michael. So from that, it's opened a lot of doors with boxing. But just again, having balls, you know, tweeting these people, again, most times they won't even respond, but you don't need them all to respond. You need a couple, and then you just keep building it. And one of the things that I do, I don't try to copy what the big boys do, right? They've got Sky Sports and all that, they're loaded, right? So I'm not going to try to copy their content because they pay for that and they do a better job. So I do the things they can't do, right? So they're censored heavily. So I get a wee bit riskier with interviews. I get a wee bit more personal with people because Sky Sports can't do that. So, you know, I'll ask them about questions that Sky Sports won't ask them because they're beholden to sponsors and everything, right? I'll ask them about PEDs and I'll ask them about their own personal life and everything. And so people make a mistake. People start podcasting, they look at what all the big boys are doing and try to be the next John Matson or whatever. And you don't do that, because if you're going to try to compete with these big lads, you're wasting your time. So you have to do the things that they can't do, right? And so now journalists, not all of them, but most journalists are going to hate you because you embarrass them, because they're being paid to get this content and you're getting it as a hobby and it makes them look bad. But 99% of my guests are reappearing because I keep relationships with them. I trust them. They trust me. Like Rafael Pimenta, Ariola, you know, they offered me Holland, they offered me Verratti. You know, they offer me content all the time. That's because I don't leak what they tell me, you know. So they tell me things off a record. Like, same when I've been out, I could be out in a beer with Ed Woodward a couple of times, and the stuff that he tells me that goes on inside United, I don't like. Him and David Gill detest each other. So and like Rooney's fight with Di Maria and the changing room and all that, there's loads of things. I mean, that's all public, but just conversations that I've had with people at United, I would never share. Anything that someone says to me in private, whether it's with someone famous or not, it's not intended for public consumption. Even if I follow him, I don't like him, I would never put it online, because I think that's a low-life thing to do. And I don't, if someone tells you something and it's not a broadcast, I don't put it out there, because I just think that's
well, here, we've got access to the stars now, Jerry.
Yeah.
Two hard good friends.
I'm going to have to do it live in Murphy, but Phil.
Listen, anybody I speak to, lads, anybody I speak to, lads, I'd be happy to put a word in for you. If you ever want to talk to them on a personal level, you ever want to talk to Wayne McCullough, you ever want to talk to them, lads, you just let me know. I would refer anyone to you boys. So
but we've got 25 million followers and viewers, let you know.
But you know, everyone else spoofs, you know, so why not? You know, whenever everyone else is, I'm lucky. Like United replaced Phil Townsend about a year ago with a guy called Charlie Brooks, total gentleman, class guy, right? Now we fought a piece out on emails and everything because he has been critical of some of my content, because it's not always complimentary of United. But I've told him, look, Charlie, I'm an old Man United fan, long with tooth. I'm not one of these kids, right? I'm going to speak my mind. You're not always going to like it, but I'll never go after anyone personally. I don't do that, right? I think you can criticize how someone does their job, that's fine, but I don't believe in going after people personally. And so they work with me. They're giving me Michael Carrick next week, and you know, Bayern Munich work with me. They're giving me Alphonso Davies and run a promotion together, and you know. Most of these people will be, it's all about how they're human beings just like you and me, you know. And I will say one thing about English football clubs. I had a mate of mine who got really, really sick. I put this on Twitter, but Mourinho had the job at Spurs a week, and I contacted Spurs and said, look, I've got a mate, he's middle-aged, 35, got in a back car accident, big Spurs fan, American fan, and Mourinho wrote him all this lovely letter, right? And they posted it out to me, and it meant everything to him. And you know, the City are like Cat Spurs. Most of these people, when you build a relationship with them, they'll work with you as long as you don't rip the arse out of it. Like, you're not on them every 5 minutes, and you respect the fact that, you know, you're just a podcast. They're getting thousands of media requests a day. I feel incredibly privileged that out of the thousands of media requests, and they're getting them from big broadcasters. They're giving it to me, and they know, like, I'm just a podcast, but they work with me, and I have really good relationships with people at the club, even if they don't agree with everything I say. You know, so I'm very lucky, lads.
Well, I have to say, Phil, you've come a long way.
Thanks, mate.
From that dark place where you were, and I know you've still got moments, but inspirational story there, and
pleasure.
Absolutely, seriously amazing, and really, we're privileged to have you on.
Well, listen, lads, I'm genuinely flattered to be on, and I'll support everything you do. It's great that you're doing this. Especially for mental health said, there's so many people back home need it, and not just back home, all across the world. And for me, it's a genuine privilege to speak to a couple of lads from home, something I miss desperately. So anytime I could do anything, anytime you're going to have me on, please have me on. I'll be grateful.
Fantastic, Phil. Thank you very much.
Love you, lads. Thanks very much.
All the best, boys.
See you soon.
See you.
Cheers, Phil. Thank you.
Cheers,
good luck. Bye-bye.
So welcome to today's show. Jerry and I are joined by another two Irish League superstars, Gary Haveron and Marty Donnelly. How are you, boys?
Simba, how are you, mate?
Oh, good, Simba, mate.
Good lad. So lads, tell me the crack. How you getting on? Enjoying being furloughed?
You can take that one, Marty.
To be honest, no. At the start, it was when it all happened. It was brilliant. It was like we're getting a couple of weeks off, and it seemed good, and we'll have a couple of weeks off, and we'll get back in. Obviously, I'm getting a bit older now, so I'll be able to relax the muscles and stuff. But now I've put my head away of the child all morning, and then I have to go and try and do my own training and stuck in the house. It's an absolute nightmare for me. I hate it.
Gary, I think you're still working then?
Well, actually, I'm furloughed, obviously, from the club life. Simba, like me, and it's a difficult time. You know, my missus is not used to me being in the house. You know, especially whenever I work for a company as well up in Belfast, like Community Sports Network. So I work for them. I come home and then I'm out every evening with the academy kids. So I think it was a period of adjustment for me and the missus whenever I first came back home. Like, I mean, I've been here for so long. So I think she was hoping that there a couple of weeks and I'd get out from under her feet, you know. But it's just, I suppose, it's just gelling each other's kind of routines a little bit and her working around me. She just says, just make the place look untidy. That's what we're doing.
You're having to speak to each other as well. It's a nightmare.
Listen, do you know what? It's been a good thing from the family perspective, and I suppose we won't get this time again out there to have that real sustained period with the missus and your kids and stuff, I guess. And our wee lad, you know, he's 10 now, and a few years' time he'll not want to hang about with us, you know what I mean? So we're making the most of it and getting out loads of family walks and stuff, I guess. And it's been good from that perspective, but we certainly need a better routine again, Simba.
Brilliant. So Jerry, you actually played with Gary and you tried to send me Marty.
I did. I played with Gary at Korean many moons ago. Remember it like yesterday. And Marty was involved in one of the stories, the one I told about the armbands when he cut the top on. Flip. I was probably, all joking aside, like down at Newry, Marty came across and he said he's getting older there. I have to laugh. I have to look at him, laugh at myself here. He looks about 21, 22 now. You know what I mean? He's getting older. What age are you now, Marty?
31.
31. I think your dad told Kenny that you're only 21. He's looking at another 10-year contract. We might be like some of the African players. You remember TD Kamara? He was playing for Liverpool when he was 43.
That's right. Simba,
was.
see the time where Jerry, I was coming back and came back from England, so Jerry was like, I'll come and see you. He must have been thinking I was going to be a 6-foot lad coming back from England. He seen me, he was like, what's happening here? There's going to be no kits to fit him. Well, anyway, I think we went down to, was it down in Derry? We went to play a friendly against Derry City down the Brandywell. And so he says, right, Marty, I want you to play on the left. I want you up and down, do yes. I was like, not a problem. I felt as if it was a good player, really fit then. Came up against this guy and he was like, scruffy hair, all this here. And I'm like, honestly, who's this here? He looks like an onion. He doesn't look decent. It was Paddy McCourt. Make me flicked it down the corner. Done. I was going, what is going on here? This man was like Messi. So here's me after about 10-15 minutes. Listen, I'm going over on the right. So it goes to go over on the right. I went to flick it past this lad. He took it off me. And I mean, he was like a whippet. I couldn't even get near him. I was like, what is going on here? No, the other one was Niall McGinn. I was going, what is going on here? I was trying to go to I'll play centre mid. I think Jerry just went after that. No, Marty, I'll leave it then.
Absolutely class. I actually remember back in Sheffield United, they came training me on St Malacans at St Malacans. I swear to God, I looked around and think, I must be Jerry's word. That couldn't be Marty. You were about 4 stone ringing with me, man. I swear to God. Oh, class. So lads, I'm going to ask you a wee bit about yourself. So Gary, tell us a bit about your background. And I was going to say mention your club, but we're here for about a week.
Well, yeah, well, it's like a lot of the guys Nadis have had on, Simba. I was actually watching your other podcast, and I suppose it's a similar story. The likes of Jerry and that went to England at an early age. Went across when I was still 15. No, literally finished with GCSEs on a Friday, and I moved to England on a Sunday, and that's sort of how quickly these sort of things can happen. And I signed for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I spent about 2.5 years at Wolves, and part of a very, very fantastic youth team. We had likes of big Matt Murray, the big goalkeeper that does Sky Sports now. We had Keith Andrews with the Republic Ireland International. We had Robbie Keane, obviously, who went on and had an unbelievable career. We had people like Lee Naylor that played for Celtic and Cardiff, not there playing left back. Ryan Green was the youngest ever Welsh international at the time. So we were littered with some fantastic players. Julian Lescott came through, sold at 25 million to City and that, like me. So it was a fantastic youth team, a very, very successful youth team. But again, when you're going out crossing that and you're trying to make that breakthrough into senior football, it's very, very difficult, you know, to cross in and get that real opportunity whenever you're kind of competing with. I was competing with Dean Richards that they sold on to Southampton and then went to Spurs. I had people like Keith Curl that was in the first team at that stage. It was England international and stuff. So, you know, you were coming up against top players. And when you're a young fella, and I listened to Jerry's story about, and again, listen to, Jim's as well. Like, I mean, Jim Magellan, when he had him on as well, about preparing kids mentally. I don't even think in that, like, I mean, it's a physical element. I think it's the mental preparation out there to think, I'm here and I belong. And I would tie that into why guys that have been in the Irish League that's gone a little bit later, the Liam Boyces, the Garth McCauley's, and Niall McGinns, these guys not like, I mean, who've gone a wee bit later, they're more mature, they're more ready, they're more geared up to first team environments, not like, I mean, and when they go into a dressing room, they feel they belong. Whereas I think when we went at such an early age, we were just caught in awe of these people, like, I mean, and there was that little bit of self-doubt that we just weren't at that level. You know what I mean? And I think I fell into that trap too a wee bit, you know, that I was just in awe of these guys rather than feeling I was an equal. And I was there, like, you mean, on a level playing field. So I spent about 2.5 years at Wolves, and then I moved across to Bolton Wanderers. And again, I played in a resi game on a Wednesday night, and I played against Bolton, funny enough. And I played against Ida Gudjonsson and Bo Hansen, would have played up front. I'd obviously went on and went to Barcelona, Chelsea, Barcelona and that, but played against them on a Wednesday night in a resi game. Had a great game. Felt everyone was going well. Got pulled in on the next morning, so I did have a recovery session and says, "You're going to Bolton. You know, that's it. You're going." And I didn't even know what Bolton was, but like, you know, I mean, I didn't know where it was. Like, I mean, literally never been there. Very, very settled in Wolverhampton, and again, it sort of came about just within the space of 24 hours. Like, I mean, I was being told I was going, so a bit like everybody's story. I packed up a black bag and threw it in the back of the car and I went to Bolton, like, so I did, you know, and I was told it's you get the train there and it'll drop you off there and you're crossing the station, like, you know what I mean, and that's how quickly it happened, you know. And I signed for Colin Todd at Bolton, and then Toddy left about 2 months after I signed there. You know, I thought I was in a good place, went to Bolton, went on pre-season, we went to Denmark in pre-season, so we did, and had a great pre-season and everything else. And then about a month into the season, Colin Todd quit. You know what I mean? And it just resigned when we sold Paul Franson to Blackburn. And as quick as you think, you know, I'm stepping into a senior arena and the first team manager wants me here, like, you mean, and everything else. And I felt really good about it. Within the space of a month, he was gone, like, you know what I mean, or 2 months, he was gone. And then a new manager came in, Phil Brown took over, Sam Allardyce then came in, and Big Sam really changed. For me, I think he changed science and football and brought in sports psychologists and brought in. He was the first one to bring in like athletics coaches, you know, to do the SAQ, you know, was all the rage at the time. He was way, way ahead of his time, and probably not the Big Sam that everybody kind of imagines to be, the big, rough, tough, robust, big centre half that he was. He was very scientific, you know, and brought around a lot of changes. And I spent 2 years there really learning Simba, like, you mean, learning his ways and stuff and everything else, and really, really enjoyed it. And I suppose at that stage maybe got a wee bit of an inkling about the coaching side of things as well, you know. But again, spent about 2.5 years at Bolton, and then again released not there after 2.5 years. But again, you were fighting against. We had Goodney Bergerson was the centre half, not there, who was the captain for Iceland. We had Mark Fish, who was the captain in South Africa. You know, I mean, they was the kind of guys you were trying to compete to take their place. You know what I mean? And again, I probably looked too much in awe of them rather than thinking I'm here to take their place. I just was glad to be a part of it. I was glad to be there, like, you know what I mean? And I worked hard now, but I just didn't have that wee age, Simba, like, I mean, it needs to go that next level. Spent a bit of time down at Swindon with Roy Evans and Neil Roddick. Spent a bit of time down at Yeovil with Gary Johnson, like, so we did, which again, Lee Johnson was there, and he's doing brilliant at Bristol City and everything else, and they're great people. And then eventually in that day, I made the decision to come back home when I was sort of in my early 20s, you know, and I came back, and I actually spent the first 6-7 months back here with Distillery. So I did. Paul Kirk was the manager there, and I knew him from Northern Ireland on the 21s and stuff, I guess, and the set up. And at that time, he was probably perfect person for me, Simba, you know, because I needed somebody to bring my confidence back, like, to me, because you come back from England a little bit disillusioned, a little bit heartbroken, a little bit feeling that you let people down, but I think that was the overwhelming feeling that I felt, that I'd let people down, that I went there with such high expectations, and to come back in my early 20s and I sort of felt maybe I was a bit of a failure, you know, I mean, I couldn't quite make that breakthrough as much as I would have loved to, you know.
Well, I have to say, Gary, with the amount of names that you dropped there, you most definitely weren't a failure. Some serious players you were up against there.
Yeah, listen, it's a great experience. And like Jerry and like Marty and that, like, I mean, nobody can ever take that away from you. And there are things you can't buy, Simba. You simply can't buy that kind of experience. No amount of money in the world can get you into them positions. You have to earn the right, like, I mean, you have to be given the opportunity, you know, and they're things that stay with you for a lifetime. Jerry's telling stories now, like, you mean, on Twitter and out there, and they're brilliant because it makes you think back on your own career and how lucky you actually were to get these opportunities, you know.
Gary, did you come to, after Distillery, you came to Korea, wasn't it?
Yeah. I went in and met with Davy Jeffries, funny enough, just before I actually came to Korea, and I came off the back of a good season at Distillery, and I talk about Kirker putting trust in people and making you feel $1 million. Like, I mean, we didn't have a word beating team at Distillery at that time, but he was brilliant about giving you confidence in yourself and believing in yourself. And like I said, he was probably the perfect person for me at that stage, Jerry, because he made me feel 10 feet tall. He made me captain of the club. I was 23, 24. He made me captain of the club within playing 2 games or something, 3 games. And he showed that kind of faith in me, and it gave me a massive lift. But I suppose you want to go to a club and out there that's challenging and competing for trophies. And I went and spoke to Davy Jeffries, funny enough, and that goes about a funny story, Simba, where I went in with my dad, and my dad never really took part in things like that, like, you know what I mean, to be honest, but he was giving me a lift over because he went with me that night because I knew he was meeting the Blues. And my dad's in the car, like, you know what I mean, and he goes, right, come on over to Windsor. And I'm sort of came to Windsor, and I'm sitting outside the office waiting to speak to the manager, you know, the wee office, and that there used to be underneath the doors at Windsor there, at the front doors that was on the right-hand side. And my dad's sitting that, like, you mean, and I got up to go in that day, he opened the door, and I got up to go in that day, and I thought, fuck, I don't really want to leave my dad sitting here, like, you may go, do you want to come in? I don't know if it was the best position ever made or the worst position I went ever in. So we go in, Simba, like, so we go in and sit in the office. And my dad's one doesn't beat around the bush, tells it how it is, like, you mean, he's a pretty straight shooter. Where do you see him playing? And at that time they had Winky and they had Noel, was like, you know, the institution at centre halves and that, like, he goes, well, to start off with, we see him playing left back and working his way maybe in towards it. And my dad just says, do you think he's a left back? No, deadly serious. And he goes, well, you know, he can find his way in it. He says, you'd be better signing me at left back than that left back. I think it was some agent my dad. He says, oh, God's honest truth. God's right. He goes, you'd be better signing me. He says, he either plays in centre midfield or centre half, and that's it, because he can't play out there. He says, I've seen him. He's awful. He's awful. I think it was, oh, well, this is going well. So well. Davey tried to talk my dad round to thinking that he could play left back. But at the same time, I was speaking to Quinner, like, do you know what I mean? And I just got the feeling, when I spoke to Davey was all about Linfield, and Linfield's the biggest club in the island, and this and the Linfield's that, and I get it. I understood it, like, you mean, and I'm respectful of Linfield and the massive club and all they were. But I kind of felt that he felt I should be privileged to be sitting in the room. Do you know what I mean? I'm coming to and being even speaking to Linfield. Whereas whenever Marty Quinn spoke to me, Marty was just, well, the boys know, and out there, everybody who plays with Marty, played for Marty, holds him in the highest regard. You know, he's a genuinely brilliant man, like, I mean, lovely fella. And I just felt he really, really wanted me to sign there, and he wanted me to be there. And I actually signed for him and his wee electrician fan behind these diner in Lauren, like, so I did. He says, jump on the back and sign this. I said, well, it's not very, that'll do me. But that was me, simply, you know, I felt that he wanted me there and he wanted me to be a part of that. And then when you look at the Korean team that Jerry was a part of, you know, you already had, Jerry was obviously there, and Davey O'Hare and Garth McCauley and Paul Gaston, Rory Hamill, Jody Tolan, Pat McAllister. I go through the whole team, and every single one of them players were just massively experienced, brilliant players, like, you mean, and there was a genuine feeling that that team, if anybody could win the league off Linfield, it would have been that Korean team. You know, I
remember your first game, Gary. We played Leondas, a team from Holland. Remember?
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the team, but I remember.
Yeah. You actually hit one from 45 yards into the top bin, and I was like, flip me, what a goal. And then I also remember, then we went away. I think, did we play
Liera
in the Cup Winners' Cup or something?
We did in Europe.
I remember Packy slagging you about, why you came to Korea and have you won anything before? And on the way back in the plane, we'd been drinking from the night before. You were absolutely hammered, 2 seats behind. And you know the way Packy ways people up, he was saying, so like, what have you won? And you were saying, well, I have a full set of Down and Connor medals. Oh, I remember Quinner's face. I remember Quinner's face just going, oh, flip me, he's going to have to learn quick coming into this changing room. And then the first game of the season, I think something tells me you were playing centre half, possibly again alongside Big G, or did Big G leave?
No, he was there the first year. First year. I
remember you tried to carry it out from the back, and you were caught on it. Then the next thing I went, Gary, wee bit of advice. We don't play it from the back.
We don't play it.
You hit it long. You hit it into 2 channels. You had to learn quick under.
Jerry, we just on you saying that, we beat the Blues 2-1. We beat the Blues 2-1, and you scored the winner at the back post where you came in the back post and volleyed it in the bottom right hand corner. So
I did to mention that.
We beat the Blues first game of the season, and Jerry scored the winner.
Collie, that was actually the game Paul Dalglish was playing.
I know what you were telling
me. I told the story, but we were coming out and just everywhere. You know when the offside flag goes up, he goes round Davy O'Hare, tries to put it in the net, knowing he was offside, puts it over the bar. Just total quietness coming out. All you heard, you must be adopted. I just put my head down, couldn't move for laughing.
Irish League shouts.
Quality, absolutely quality. Well, I hear that's a whirlwind tour. Now you've got a few clubs after that.
I'm not even finished yet.
I know. We're going to have to give wee Marty a go, what guy?
I'll come back next week.
Marty had to get his story in, like, you know.
Go ahead, Marty. Give us a bit of background on you, wee man.
Well, obviously, you know me. You know my family from you know me from when I was a kid. Obviously, Jerry, you coached me when I was a kid, didn't you?
Down in St. Kevin's Hall, yeah.
I remember you coming in. I think we had a competition down in St. Kevin's Hall. I think I was getting, it was either best player award or you must be open to a couple of quid or something.
MVP. But, no, one, we didn't charge you, and 2, we give you every trophy going. We actually give you a best girl player as well.
My dad must have got a trophy too. The thing was, you were getting out the trophies, and my dad must have had a bat on up the bookies or something like that, because when you were handing out the trophies, I was away. You had to come into the school and give me it a couple of days later. But obviously, you have known me since I was a kid. I was always football mad. And like Gary, obviously, like yourselves, I went across to England, but I had a really, really bad experiences. People have different experiences when they go to England. And when I was in England, I was there for about 3.5 years. And the football, I absolutely loved it. Every day getting in, it was amazing. But it was getting to the point where I was on my way in on the bus, where I was going, if I play well here, I'm going to get a new contract, and I don't want to be here. I was on the phone to my dad every night crying, and I was going, the lady I stayed with just, honestly, wasn't a nice woman. Gary, were you with a Diggs lady over there?
Yeah, I'd stay with a family. You know, but again, different experience myself. I still speak to my Diggs lady, like, you know what I mean? She's a lovely woman, like, you know, and it can make a massive difference, obviously.
Mine was an absolute name. She just wanted, at the time, her money. She didn't want, because I was there all weekend, I was with 4 English lads, and I was staying for the weekend. And when I went over there, I was on 60 quid a week. Well, when you're getting your bus fares in, you had no money, so I couldn't go out nowhere or anything like that. So I had a really bad experience. But getting into training at the start, it was amazing. Obviously, Neil Warnock was there. He's a madman. And the first year, I sort of struggled. The first 4 months, because I went from just training an hour, Tuesday and a Thursday with like my local team, St. Pat's in North Belfast. When I went in and you were there from 9 in the morning till 4 at night, I was going home absolutely wrecked. I was sleeping there the whole way till the next day. I was wrecked, but I loved every minute of the football. But it was like a sour taste in my mouth, where it was getting to the point where I was going like, I need to come home. But you know what my dad's like, there's not a chance. He was getting me out of his debt. You know what I mean? He was thinking million signs here, million signs there. But, we had the likes of Kyle Walker. He's just a couple of years younger than me. He ended up coming there, and the likes of Kyle Naughton, and loads of my teammates have gone on and made well of himself. But at the time, you're not thinking that. And I think I was about 17, just nearly coming 18, and obviously I'm small, I'm not the biggest kind of thing, but I'm not quick either. And I didn't notice it at the time, but every day they were taking me out and keeping me out after doing speed training. You ever see with the harnesses with a tire on the back with a rope?
Yeah.
Every single day. So I think they had it in their head, as long as I got pace, they think they could do well. And I tried everything, and honestly, I couldn't even, I was that late, the tire wouldn't move. The tire wouldn't move. I was like, what's happening? You're gonna help me? But I ended up playing there, and I got to a stage where it was like, right, I went on loan to Ratsdale, and as Gary says, it was like they normally bring about 20 people to the game, but only 16 or 18 fits out. So I was in the squad every time, but always up in the stand. And I was like, look, this just isn't for me. And at the time, I think, Jerry, you were playing, I think you were manager at Newry at the time. This was when when it started going live in Sky.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was watching it and going like, that doesn't look the best. I think I could do the business there. But it was like raining, and it looked really bad. I think it was one of the first matches on the TV, and I'm sitting watching it going like, I could actually go back there, and I think I could do well there. And I ended up just packing my stuff and just going home, didn't tell anybody. And my dad was like, what's going on here? And I was like, look, that's me done. And he's like, and I just says, listen, that's me done. So he was like, right, okay. But because it's signed for 2 teams already, it was like February at the time, I wasn't able to sign for another Irish League team. Mm-hmm. So I ended up training. So my dad took me out, and he trained me nearly every day just to get me up and going. But when I started talking to Irish League managers, not one wanted me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Jerry took me down, you took me down.
Do you know what, Mark? Yeah, honest to God, it's my biggest regret in Irish League football, and it just shows you. I looked at you, and you were literally, I'd seen bigger Star Wars, man. You were minute.
and that's what it was.
You really were. And I'm thinking to myself, that kid's never going to do it. But we had just signed Paul Welsh. I'd paid $3,000 for Paul Welsh to Glenavon, who was quick. And I'm thinking to myself, as it turned out, Mickey Collins broke his jaw about 3 weeks later. He rolled into Mickey's shoulder and broke his jaw, and he was out. He never ended up playing. But I'm thinking to myself, flip me. And as I say, I tell that joke, but Minto said to me, Jesus, lot the size of him, you make around a baby needs and get a kit like he's minute. And you know what? When you think about it, it just proves that size doesn't matter, because for 10 years you've been the best left-sided midfielder in the Irish League for 10 years. The quality of your left peg is amazing, but it just shows you what I know about football. That's it.
See, when I came home, it was like I was going to be able to get a team, hopefully prove my worth. But then, when it didn't sign for you, then my dad phoned Marty Quinn, because obviously my dad knew likes of him, and he was like a banger. He was like, he's too small. I went to speak to David Jeffries, and he was like, I don't even know the kid, so come back to me when he does the business. And literally, no team, and I just said to my dad, to me, that's it for me, I'm done. I was ended up going to play for some Pat's local team with Keith Mulvanna. He was like, come down, and I went, if I go there, if you go there for a year or two, you're not getting back up to the level. Because once you train that standard and stay down at that, you're obviously going to go out to drink and do whatever you're doing. And it's not the same. And I remember my dad getting Stephen Baxter a ring, and he says, listen, look, we'll have a game here, come down. And Mark Dixon said the same thing. I came down to train, and he said at a top one, he thought I won a competition to come down and train with the first team. When he told me, I was like, oh my God. He said he came in and tried to close me down, and I skipped past him. He's like, what's this kid doing? He's actually decent, this kid. But he still thought it won a competition because it was so small. And I was like, well, we played something, I think it was a Scottish team. And after I think it was just before half time, he took me off and just says, listen, there's a 1-year deal for you here. And that'll get me in. And then once I signed for the Crusaders, then it went up and up then. And then I ended up being able to prove myself.
Yeah, I remember, Marty, I commentated on a game at Solitude when Boycie was still there. Boycie was up, playing up front alongside Joe. You were on the left-hand side. And it was against Crusaders. He absolutely ran the show. Although Boycie came off, held everybody off, he was that strong, and he used to see things, playing the ball inside the fullback, and Joe was away. I can't remember what the score was. I think it might have been 2-1. To Climbo, but I'd give you man of the match in the radio that day, and I'm just thinking, and I'm not just saying it now because you're on the show and stuff, but it didn't matter. And as you say, you didn't have pace either, but your brain was 2 steps ahead of everybody. And as I say, your left peg's just a wand. You free kicks and stuff you hit, and players used to try, and when we were playing against you, I had we injured whatever, and I says, you need to get tight this wee man, go in, nip him, do what you need to do, kick lumps out of him. You
that's exactly what you done.
I know, I did 100%.
Gee, we played one day, and he man marked me, and everywhere I went, I was like, this wee lad's doing my head in. He was fit as anything. I couldn't get him off me. And I'm going, he's doing my head in. And I remember we were, because he was a decent player. He was up and down. He was brilliant. He was like, if you're a manager, he's one of them fellas you love. And I remember he was doing my head in. So Baxter called me over. And it was about 40 minutes into the game. And I was going, I can't get rid of this guy. I went over to get a drink to talk to Baxter. And he came running right over. And Baxter went, listen here, son. Why don't you shoot on the game? The game's called. I'm told a man mark him.
Simba, we did a thing recently there about your teammates. Do you know the wee Soccer AM thing, teammate secrets and stuff? It gets here and they talk about it. And there's a bit at the start of it. We did it with the kids, not there for a way of them interacting with each other during this lockdown and stuff. And I said to him, my wee lad goes to me, my Alfie's 10 years of age. He goes to all the Lauren games. He's a massive Lauren fan. But he goes to me, player's player, Daddy. He says, what's that? I says, that's the player that everybody in season training is just a wee bit different, has a wee bit magical and a wee bit different. And he goes to me, what, like Marty Donnelly? God's honest truth. And I said, you know what, son? Exactly. And I would say anybody that plays with Marty, and when you watch Marty play now, like everybody will say the same thing. There's no logic as to he said it himself. He's not the biggest, and he's not the strongest, and he's not the quickest. But his intelligence is second to none in the spaces that he finds and matches. And see when you go down and watch Lauren play at the minute, Simba, and I hope, Jerry, whenever this lockdown's over, you come back over and that you get a chance, go down and watch Marty and Tomas Cosgrove. It's worth the entrance fee alone. I go and watch Lauren matches and that there and watch the two of them boys and how they link with each other. It's brilliant football. It's great to watch. Absolutely first class to watch. And
I had the pleasure of watching them at Solitude. They were different gravy under wee.
They were brilliant.
He takes after Uncle Frankie. He's brilliant. I'm telling you now.
Here, he's just getting brownie points in there, Mark. See while you were on wee engine, wee Darren King, who was at Newry. I remember I done the same thing to Stephen Carson, Gary will know, who was a Korean. And he came over to me after about 20 minutes and he says, Jerry, please take him off me. Please take him off me. As I used to say to wee engine, put your arm underneath and just grab him on the boob and nip him. And he had Carsey nipped stupid. He actually came over the bench and he says, Jerry, please, tell him to stop doing it. Oh, you're right. Wee engine was the best man-to-man marker. I made him follow where we were. And he was a wee South Armagh man, just hard as nails, played Gaelic as well. And he would just run through a brick wall for you. But brilliant at man-to-man marker.
See, when you watch Lauren play and that, like, you'll see somebody just drifting around with Marty and out there trying to mark him. The amount of games this year where you see people just go on because they know how dangerous he is, they know how much he can affect the game, and I suppose it's testament how he's done over the last 10 years and how well he's done that he's that big a threat that people feel they have to take him completely out of the game. You know?
Marty, I can actually see you getting him playing him behind the centre forward in your later years because you'll end up playing to about 40, I would say.
He doesn't play off the left-hand side, Jerry. He plays where he wants. Anywhere across the front line, he just drifts about.
I play where I want. I can't get back.
You'll play to your about 56 for your dad's anything to go. Any guy can still play in the Irish League.
He's a new Lauren manager, that's why.
So tell me, lads, what are you doing now? I know Gary, Martin's full time. Are you full time at Lauren as well?
No, not yet, Simba. Like I say, not yet. Like, but I run the academy for Lauren. Like, so I'm the director of the academy. So I oversee all the projects with the youth side of the game and that. Like, I mean, we're very lucky that we got a first team set up. You're obviously friendly with Tiernan and that. Like, I mean, Tiernan's heavily involved in the youth side of things. He loves the youth side of things. It comes from his time at the Met and being involved in it and about giving people an opportunity. So it's great to be involved with the kids there. Like, I'm a Lauren man, born and bred. So it is. When I got into the management side of things, obviously didn't work out for me at the Glens. I had a good spell with Carrick, didn't work out for me at the Glens, and I was always volunteering with Lauren anyway. Simba, I was down there taking my Alfie's team. So when I was managing Glentoran, I was also manager of the 2010 Lauren Youth team. So I've always been involved with the kids, and I was involved with the kids not there even before my son came along. I took a team previously with Brad Lyons and different people involved in that wee side, But yes, I was involved with it, and then whenever the opportunity came about, they wanted me then to come in and coach the coaches and give the coaches a wee bit more kind of ideas as to what they should be coaching and why we should be coaching things and coaching for outcomes, and trying to kind of gear them a wee bit more to our way of thinking out there and getting them in line. Tiernan loves playing football. He loves getting the ball down the ground. That's why Marty fits so effortlessly into the Larne system, because they try to play out from the back and they try to do it. So we need to produce players of a very, very high technical level of ability. And in order to do that, we got to upskill our coaches. So it was my job originally to upskill the coaches, to try and get them that when you see a kid, not like me, doing, when you see our teams playing from under 5, 6, and 7s all the way up through the under 18s, that is a clear identity, and it's a very, the style and that there fits with what the first team are trying to do. So it's all the way through the ranks, you know. So our projection is if a kid is really good at 10, 11 years of age, can we bump him up to a year group and that, like, but when he goes up there, it's not alien to him because he's doing the same training drills, he's doing the same ideas and the same methodologies behind the kind of coaching now. So that when kids constantly move through the ranks and that there, it should be an effortless transition from one to the next, and it's all stepping stones towards the first team. You know, but again, producing a player of the caliber needed to get into our first team is going to be not a short-term plan. It's more of a longer plan thinking, you know, and the idea is to go a full-time academy. I know that the owner's incredibly ambitious with having a full-time academy. So that means the kids coming in and doing education and having them from 16s, 17s, 18s. Tiernan's very much involved in that. And we talked about it previously, you know, about not overly being prepared when you go to England. I will go back to whenever I was coached and growing up in Larne, and when I was 14, the coach used to turn up with one football, no bibs. So maybe a 20-a-side training session because there was only one team you could get into. Not like nowadays where we have 3-4 teams. We have 440 kids in our academy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas whenever we were growing up and out there was one team, but there was maybe all the 11-a-side football teams in the school environment all trying to get into that one team. So a training night could have been 30, 40 kids. Do you mean trying to get into them 11 shirts, you know, when it was only 3 subs then, so it was as well. So you're talking 14 players and a lot of ones missing out. So it was like survival of the fittest, and it was battling and what we had in terms of that spirit and the fight and the will to kind of go improve yourself, like, I mean, but we probably didn't get improved technically enough. So there wasn't the balance. Whereas what we're trying to do now is get the balance of that. We're 4 nights a week in that there with our academy. We're Mondays and Wednesdays with their teams, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays with our after schools club. And actually Marty comes down and delivers in these sessions, and our first team boys are all involved in these sessions. The first team managers came down and got involved in a few sessions as well. So what we actually have within our academy is, well, me and Kieran are both sitting on pro licenses. We've got Marty in that there who's went and did his coaching badges. We've got Albert Watson sitting on an A license. We have other players now, they're all sitting on really, really high levels of qualifications. So in our after schools club, which we run on a Tuesday and a Thursday from 4:30 to 6 o'clock, we've got great expertise on the pitch. We've got our first team boys out there delivering to our academy kids, and there's aspirations to go and be them is all there for them, you know. And if I'm a young kid in Northern Ireland now and I want to play football the right way and I'm technically got a wee bit about me, I wouldn't look too further afield than Larne, you know, that's doing 4 nights a week. The first team is already engaging with the kids and a pathway and a system there to kind of climb the ranks. You know, the place is really kind of thriving at the minute on a lot of fronts.
I have to say, what an advertisement, guy. I'm telling you, have you ever thought about being a marketer? Absolutely. I want to come and play myself. He's the brilliant.
It's just a brilliant environment to play football in, Simba, like you mean, and it's something out there that hasn't, it's been created, like you mean. Obviously Kenny, you've spoken to Kenny, you know Kenny, he's a massively enthusiastic man, you know, and he's put his money where his mouth is. He's invested into this here, but he's invested in the right areas. He's invested in people to take the club to the next level, you know, and the first team, you know, we're the best footballing team in the Irish League, bar none, in my opinion. You know, nobody plays football like Larne do. You know, results will come, you know, the stronger that we're able to get, and he keeps building and Tiernan's given the time. If the academy and that there is all towards making a sustainable model, you know, I mean, we want to produce our own players. We want kids from Larne pushing their way into the first team. But if you come into our academy, you know, if whatever that may be, if you come in at 5, if you come in from outside of town at 7 or 8, you're going to be part of our environment, like, you know what I mean? And we're trying to nurture that talent that we do create opportunities in the full-time football, be that through Larne first team or try to get the kids across the water. that they're going and prepared, Simba, and that's the bigger thing, that they go prepared, mentally, physically prepared. And I know Jared, the skin little and that, like you mean, and I know Jim and Jelton are big advocates of this, that we just don't produce them technically. We're demanding of them now. We demand that they kind of play at a tempo and an intensity so that whenever they hit over there, it's not alien to them. It's not spending 6 months trying to play catch up like we were. We were 6 months behind. Even drills and that day when I first went to England, 5v5 with 5 men on the outside and a floater, I was going, what's going on? It was just completely alien. But hopefully now that's all the norm for our kids. If we're creating the right environment where they have to push themselves to be better every time they come down to the club, then yeah, I think when they go, they've got a much better chance of staying.
Absolutely fantastic. It really genuinely sounds amazing. I'm involved with St. Mary's. We have about 400 kids, and I've actually now got my new helper, Gary Haveron. He's coming up to give us a bit of advice. Genuinely, that is first class. You thought years ago, a coach was something took me to the Cliftonville match. But you know, we were North Belfast Harriers with Cliftonville strollers. Big Hardy made us run around. My legs were like tree trunks. Didn't know what a ball was. And you're talking drills, gee whiz. Nothing like it, honest to God.
Me and Jerry, when we were at Coleraine that day, we used to do wee keep ball drills. So we would do, and it used to be Tony Gorman and the likes of that, and Jerry and that, they would have been influential at that stage, and that because he was doing a bit of coaching in the background, and Tony Gorman was doing a lot of coaching, and we had Jimmy Calvin that was down there overseeing things a wee bit. And Marty used to kind of go down those showgrounds. We used to train on the pitch because the wee back pitch was brutal. And Marty used to come onto the pitch, not like you mean, and go way down the far corner. You wouldn't even realise he'd be down there. And all you hear was a shout of, "To me!" And he'd throw the hands up. And we'd have to just leave what we're doing, sprint out to Marty, give him a high five and sprint back in again. And we'd be going again. Everybody would be running back laughing, like, you mean, having a little laugh and that. They'd join in again. That, like, the next thing you would hear a shout from behind. He'd jump out from behind a pillar, "To me!" I'm on the front legs. Away we go again. But things like that, the camaraderie and the togetherness and the laughs that we had doing that was unbelievable, you know. But I suppose that was the coaching then. But Marty was a motivator and a man manager. Like, I mean, that's where his strength certainly lay.
100%. You'd run through brick walls from him. He was actually my manager at the Olympic. And he used to do doggies and wee things with a ball. And he said, "Right, don't worry about your touch, get the doggies in." But I tell you what, you literally would have gone through a brick wall.
And then some.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Marty, back to you, man. Tell us about your full-time role. I suppose in a sense you've been used to doing it, being across the water, but how have you found it?
No, I love it. Obviously, when I was across the water, I was only a kid. But as when you come to play for like Cliftonville and stuff, it's Tuesday and Thursday, and that's it. And as it was going on, I was always fit. I was always like looking after myself and stuff like that. But once we went full time, I think it's even took my fitness levels, and it's took my game up a bit. I feel far sharper, feel strong, even though I'm not strong, but I feel stronger, I feel fitter. I just, even my touch and all, because you're working every day. So if you're working on something every day, you're going to get better and better. And obviously, even with us, last year we won the championship at a canter. We were the best team by a mile, but with all premiership players, sort of. And then this year, it was sort of like at the start, not that I thought it was going to be too easy, but it was, you played some tough games. Obviously, Ballymena at the start, we won the first couple of games, and we played Ballymena, we could be a 5-2. It was like, that's when people went man for man, or they played big guys against us and stopped us playing our football, and we weren't really adjusted to that yet. But after so many games, I think obviously with Tiernan working, as guys come in a couple of times and work with the team and tweaked a bit of here and there, you're able to work on more stuff than you are on a Tuesday and Thursday. Because if you spend on a Tuesday, just say, Jai, when you were working, see if you come in on a Tuesday and you try to work shape for 40 minutes. Well, there's 40 minutes of your session done with fitness you could be doing, so you just can't afford to do it. So for us at the minute, we're ahead. We're ahead of other teams, so we're ahead. We can spend a day on doing like shape, while other teams can't really do that. So I think like the last sort of 15 or 16 games, I think we were top of the league in the standings. But that doesn't mean anything. But to us, it sort of does, because it shows you where we're going to go. And I think if we get a couple of players in, or tweak this or tweak that, I think we have a good chance of doing something really good.
There was quite a few games that just actually drew, Marty, and if you took all those points into consideration, you'd have been actually challenging. You know, I spoke to Tiernan about that, and he was just saying, you know, when you look at maybe 6 or 7 of the games that teams just went 2 banks of 4 and just stopped his playing. I think Dungannon was one of the games. was one each or nil each, maybe nil each. When you should have had 3 points of that game. Yeah.
I think I missed the sitter in that one too, so Tiernan wasn't happy having with me. But there was a few games even against the top teams. We hadn't been a top team in, I think it was about the first 18 games or whatever it was. But loads of the games we were in it, we were either drawn or conceding in the last minute, but we were on top of the whole game, but we just couldn't put it away. And it's just one of them things. It must have been in the players' heads, or we just weren't getting the rub of the green. It was just one of them things. And then we ended up playing Glenn's on a Saturday night at 5:30, and it was one of the best performances we've had. I think we won 2-1. I think we scored in the last minute, 1-2-1, and then we played Linfield on the Tuesday and ended up beating them again. So within 3 days, we got the monkey offer back then, and it was like, right, we're ready to go. And then once we started doing well, and then this happened. So God knows where we ended up, but we were flying at the time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think those 2 games you mentioned, Marty, I think at one stage people are thinking Larne are under pressure. You know, they've drawn a few, as Jay said, and maybe lost the odd one, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, that gave you confidence, and you went on and a great run then after, didn't you?
Yeah, we were absolutely flying, but there's people who look on the outside and think like, well, Larne lost today, or look, because some people are Irish League watchers, the likes of Gary, the likes of Jared, and you like yourself would delve into it and see what's going on. Or if you could beat 1-0 and you have absolutely battered some team, the likes of you football guys know and go like, here, tell you what, there's some team, they're going to be in a whale, they're going to be some team to deal with. But if someone's not they're just watching on Twitter going as in like, well, there's Evans beat again, they're not that good.
Yeah.
But the things we're doing on the training ground, the things that we're doing off the field with their dad, with our training, with the full-time training, with everything, it's brought the town up as well. See the fans that are coming now, that we're getting over 1,000 fans, maybe sometimes close to 2,000 at times and all, the big games, and the whole town be buzzing. And even get into it, when I left Cliftonville, I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go here, because if I go to like a Coleraine or another team, they like sort of the bigger guys as well, the strong guys, and especially down in some of them pitches where it's like, if it's a rainy day, what Braz used to say to me, tap in the back, son, this doesn't suit you, kid. I was saying to myself, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And Tiernan gave me the call and was like about Larne, and I'm like, it's the championship. If I go down there, I might get the chance again. I'm getting on a bit. I don't know. And then once he told me what I was going to do, but to play this system, and he was saying, I want you to play behind the front man. I want you to move and do. And once he said that, I was like, right, game on then. I'll go there.
But I don't believe you. It's what he said to your dad, got you down there.
See the way, as you said, your dad went into the speak to Jeffries?
Yeah.
My dad has went into every single one of mine. And I'm telling you, I remember him speaking to, I'm not sure if it was a Climble at the time, and Randy McFall wanted to speak to me. So we went in, and honestly, I've never been more embarrassed in my life. My dad must have thought I was Messi. He can do this, I wanted to hate. He wants a grand a week, he wants this, he wants a house, he wants this, and I just sit there going, Randy, give it to you. What to do? We'll ring you in 2 days.
Here,
I was
Marty.
like so embarrassed. I was like, but I was like, you have to do this, son, you have to do this.
And can you picture if he had some confidence, what he'd be like as well?
They go back, Simba, what Marty's saying is, I think the biggest thing with Larne was managing expectation. Though everybody sees like a multi-millionaire owner coming in to take over this club, and they just think it's a foregone conclusion. You're going to buy the league. You can't buy a league, like you just can't. You can sign all the best players you want now and throw them together, and it might not gel, and it might not net the way it's meant to net. You've got a guy that came in here and invested massively in an infrastructure first and foremost. So I look at I cannot sound great, but I look at Glentoran, like they put a lot of money on the pitch now, like in terms of what they've invested in, and you can see the investment, you can see the players in the pitch and the size of the squad and everything else, and you can understand, okay, there's where his money's gone. When you're investing in infrastructure, you put down a 3G pitch, you build stands, you build a bar, you build commercial rooms, you invest in people, go off the ground, there. So Niall Kernan as a community, a general manager, and you invest in full-time players and stuff like this in a model with a smaller group of players. It's not a massive group of players. It's a moderate kind of number there to work with, A lot of that cost gets missing somewhere along the line, but what it is a sustainable thing, because the ground is always going to be there, and it's going to steadily continue to improve. A general manager is going to see and oversee the running of the club and how it generates income 365 days a year. You've got a bar manager there that's just gains going to generate income in that there, which makes a model sustainable. So when you see the kind of investment, the investment's been smart and it's been for the future. It's also, yes, people want success here and now, of course, like you mean. And I think we have that in spades in Lauren because of the quality of the football the boys produce. So it doesn't the standard on how they play. And Marty's right. It's a joy to watch Lauren play football. I wouldn't want to go and watch anybody else play in the Irish League, if God's be truth be told. But it's about investing in a sustainable model out there that will move us into the future, you know, and beyond. And out there, it's not like something. If Kenny was to go tomorrow, there's something in place now. Like you mean, it isn't going to be the same model as it is now. But there's a model in place now that could be very much sustained in terms of the fan base has been growing. The way they can engage not there with people within the community, the way they use the media guys, not like, I mean, it's second class. It's something that's really kind of lifted the bar in the Irish League. I feel not there, the level of engagement that we have. The players are absolutely fantastic about buying into it, like you mean, because they all get involved and they all come down. You know, the boys come and hand out medals at sports days and stuff. They hand out at five-a-side competitions. They're there for photographs, not like, I mean, for whatever you ask the boys to do, it's never too much hassle. They're always involved in it. And the engagement between the fans and the owner and all the stuff that's happening off the park is really great to see.
I have to say, Gary, being an Irish League fan, Kenny Bruce has actually revolutionised the whole league. I mean, you have to hand it to him. Absolutely outstanding everything he's done for Lauren. But I think he's helping raise the profile of the whole league. And you talked about the social media stuff. I mean, they had Gavin Clements prior to that, and everything they've been doing is amazing and very, you know, far-seeing and far-reaching. I mean, one of the things he had talked about was having, like, Lauren diaspora around the world, beaming the games back to Australia and New York. I'm not sure how far on you are with that, but the actual idea of it is absolutely amazing. And you have to give him credit, to be fair to him.
Well, if the man can dream it, he'll make it happen. Near enough, like to me, Simba. And it sounds I was a bit, you know, I'm a bit, the Irish League, you can't be involved in the Irish League and not be a bit sceptical, like a multi-millionaire is going to come to your hometown and invest into the team. You know, it's pie in the sky, and you're all thinking, I believe it when it falls on me, like you mean when it hits me. But everything this guy said he's going to do, he's backed up and then some. But it's also kind of important, like Simba, to realise that, and Marty will be more testament to this than me, but it's important that, like you mean, that you invest in the right kind of people, like you mean, and you create people that are there for the right reasons. You can, with money and that, there attract a wrong type of person. Like you mean, you can get somebody who's there, thinks of, I'm there for a payday, and that's what I'm there to do. I want to get as much out of it as I possibly can, and whatever, if it's successful, great. If it's not, then so be it. Like you mean, I think when you look at our first team boys and the lads that we have in our first team dressing room, and Tiernan's been really, really good and cute about not rushing into signing people just because they're available. He's looking for the right kind of characters that fits that dressing room. And when you're full-time and that, like, I mean, you need the right characters in the dressing room. You need winners, absolutely. You need real strong leadership, not there 100%, but you need good guys not that they actually want to be around all day, every day. You know what I mean? And Marty, like I said, maybe you'll say more about that, about the players, not like, I mean, but for me, every one of the lads are brilliant lads, like, I mean, and it's important, like I say, you invest in the right kind of people.
Gary, I think one of the things you hit on there was the right infrastructure, because for as long as I can remember playing Irish League and following it, you've always had teams down the years. You know, Bangor done it a long time ago where they threw a lot of money at it and brought a load of players in. Portadown have done it under the Golden Cow thing. Glenavon have done it, but they've actually just threw money at the first team. Try to get the big players in, try to win, and then within 1 or 2 years, those clubs ended up struggling.
It's built sand, Jerry. It's all built
but Kenny's done it completely different. You know, he's put the infrastructure in. The one thing that I've noticed from the outside was the social media aspect of it. Wow. You know, and they've absolutely killed it. Now, I'm going back even 12, 18 months ago. But since then, I think all the other clubs have now got on board as well, and it's actually made it throughout the league. You know, you'd nearly think you were watching, going by the social media, a lot of what the Premiership clubs are doing, you know, because they have risen the bar and everybody else is actually starting to copy it.
Do you know what the beauty is of the Irish League football is? Like, when you look at players, Jerry, you feel like you know them. You feel like you have a rapport with them. And you know as well as I do, there's a hardcore group of boys not there you probably know by name. And you'll know it, Marty, from your time at Cliftonville, because you're a local lad and everything else. And even Lauren fans, they all know you by name and they feel they can approach you and they feel you're approachable. You're not that multi-millionaire man that's not in your stratosphere, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, you look at that as somebody, you think, so that's a working kind of man, the same as me. that's a guy that there's going out and he's playing his football and stuff, and you feel like you have a rapport with that person and you build a relationship with that person. You know what I mean? Their relationship's maybe stronger than your one with them, but you still feel like you know somebody, and it means the world. Like, see this man here, like, and I'm not going to blow smoke up just Marty's ours, not like it's not just him. But there's my Alfie, and that day he'll come down and he'll high five. How are you? How'd you go this morning? How did your game go today? And that there, and they know my son, like, you mean? And see from my son, who's 10 years of age, who looks almost down at Mark with eyeballs, Marty. So the likes of my Alfie, like, at 10 years of age, he worships him. And see for having him, and they look up to the players now, and see for the interaction that they have with the fans and stuff. It's brilliant, like, you mean? And I'm so proud to be a part of it, to be honest, you know, and I'm grateful to be a part of it, you know, because again, it's on my doorstep. It's happening for my town, and Lauren gets a bad rep, like, you mean, it gets a bad reputation for being a wee rundown town and everything else, but I think what the football club and what the boys have done is galvanised the whole community and made us all feel part of it, and we're all sucked into it. You know, my missus is working in the bar because me and Alfie are down there so much. So she says, well, I might as well do a wee shift in the bar. And she's out helping in the bar. And I'm there after games, not there because my son's out on the pitch kicking the ball about and he doesn't want to leave. And I'm back down again there the next morning and stuff with him because he just can't be around the place enough. And I think to myself, that's where I want him growing up. That's where I want him to spend his time, not hanging street corners and running around. I want him down here having role models like Marty Donnelly to look up to and or looking in the eye and sort of that there. That's what he wants to be when he grows up, like, you know.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Marty, you must have a couple of stories about ex-players you played with. Throw a couple in there. You want about wee Brazzy?
Well, no, it's not really a story about Brazzy. It's mostly about Brazzy. Every match, him and Minto, obviously, they were like yin and yang. Minto, when he used to do team talks, he never listened to Minto. You just used to count the swear words. Nobody else used to have a bet, and he did it. So we used to be in stitches. He used to go, what are you laughing at? You're playing Linfield. What are you all laughing at? Be serious. Come on. He used to do about 15 swear words in one sentence. So we all used to be in stitches. But Brazzy and Minto always walked around the pitch. Always walked around. And you ever see at Solitude when you put the car park? Yeah. So you always had to walk past them. So any time Brazzy used to go, Marty, kid, what's happening? They used to go, lovely, starting the day. But then there's loads of times you walk past and Brazzy's wee head down and let go over discussions. I'm like, I'm not liking this here. So then you used to get there and call out, Marty, come here, want you? Used to put the arm around you. Sorry, wee man, no. But normally if anybody's telling it, Baxter used to tell me you're sub, you used to crack up and go, well, I'm a sub first, I played well last week, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. We're Brazzy. You used to apologize. Brazzy, don't worry, so everything's all right, Brazzy. It's okay. Are you okay? Aye, Marty, I'm okay. You sure? Everything's sweet. Then you walked away and you walked into your change room and you go, how'd he do that? How did I apologise to him and he's just made me sub? And then they're like, he just had that away with all the players. It was just, we were going for league titles with Brazzy. We were doing this. And he's just, I remember we were playing Portadown in the second one when we won the league. And he's just sitting down. He's just like, as if it's nothing. Because now when you're going into some games, when you have some managers, they're dead like, high rate where it's like, right, I need to do this. What if I forgot? I need to do this, need to do that. But Brazzy was just like, listen, it is what it is. I've done my work on Tuesday and Thursday. See, today, just go and enjoy yourself. And he always used to just say to me when I was walking out, listen, just go and enjoy yourself, kid, and do what you do. And it just made a calmness. Because we played, for the first year we won the title, I think we were, what was it? I think it was 7 games to go. And we were 2 points behind Linfield. And it was one of the biggest games of like Climble's history, as in trying to win a league title over there. But seeking out, it was as if it was nothing. It was as if it was just another game. And to us, looking back at it now, me and George McMullen are in group chat and all this, and we still talk, and we're like, how mad was that just to think, like, it was, to us, we didn't care. Everybody hated us because they thought we were arrogant. It wasn't. We were just all mad and didn't care. It was like, just go out and enjoy it. And as it was.
He was very given of his time too, Sim. But I remember at Carrick going there and playing the guys in the cup, like, you mean, and Cliftonville were all conquering at that stage. You were a brilliant side. And I brought the Carrick team across and that, like, I mean, and we ran them close in a wee game and that, like, I mean, they beat us in the end. I think it was in the League Cup or something, I guess, or maybe County Antrim Shield. I can't quite remember. But see, to be honest, he took me into the office after the game, and I was 34 when I got into management, like, to me, so to be so young and that there, he was so given of his time. And Marty's right, he was just calmness, a pure calm. And see, whenever I actually got the bullet, he phoned me. So he did. When I got the bullet from the Glens and that there, he phoned me, like, I mean, he was on the phone for half an hour. He says, don't worry. He says, this is part of your learning process, and that, like, to me, he says, you what you did, what you could do, and that, like, to me, and he was brilliant. And it was lovely, like, I mean, just appreciate a phone call at that time from somebody of his esteem. He didn't have to do it, like, I mean, but I think it just shows you the caliber of the man, that he felt the need to pick up the phone and just sort of, like, just console me a little bit, I suppose, and a wee few words of wisdom. And I certainly came off the phone feeling great, like Marty says. I've kind of felt, I came away thinking, so Glenn's have dipped out here, so you have, you know what I mean?
That's true, Gary. I mean, he had that.
Man.
Seriously, the genius. See the psychology of it. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, we heard me Jonty saying one of the other things about him. You know, he's dropping him and he was doing the same thing. And I genuinely, we spoke before and he gassed me and I said, I love you, still love you, even no matter what he did. He did it with a smile in his face. He was some boy, honest to God.
Did not.
Gary, what about you? I'm sure you've got a story or two about Rory Hamill.
I was laughing, like, to me, because honestly, see that time at Coleraine with the boys that we had, him and Big Army used to be hammer and tongue, like, to me, just constantly at it. And anybody who knows Rory knows he speaks like, man, you got a big red brogue, like, you know what I mean? He's real deep voice. But I remember like, we played in a game. What's the language like? Are we allowed to swear in this or no?
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Okay, well, he goes, so he was down near the end of his career. He went to Distillery, so he did, right? And I remember hearing this story because he told me it like one night while we were out, so we were. But anyway, Tommy Wright was a manager down at Distillery, and Rory had gone down there to play a few games, we trial matches and stuff or whatever. Like, I mean, he goes to him, he brought him into the office, and he says to him, "Listen, don't have much money." He says, "We're getting it tight." He says, like, you know, we're down to, listen, Rory, I can offer you 125. And Rory goes, 125, man? What's that? A fucking Yamaha? Just typical hammy, like, you know, I mean, what's that, man? What a Yamaha. He came out one day, we played a pre-season friendly, and it was to start when he started putting the names in the back of his shirt. So Rory always liked the number 8 shirt, and we were at Ballymena together. After we left Coleraine, he ended up at Ballymena together, so we did. And he had Hamill number 8 in the back of it, and it was a pre-season game, but they were long sleeve tops. So Burtnell, the kit man, was so, like, honestly, he was a nightmare. Like, he wouldn't give anything away. Like, I mean, he hated giving anything out, so he did. But Rory was like, we played the first half of a match, and it was sweltering. It was the warmest day, pre-season friendly. We went down to play one of the teams in Ballymena. So Rory's like, Burtnell, man, give us the scissors, He takes the scissors, right? And he lays the shirt, he goes, hold it. So you hold it out, like, you mean, to cut it, and Rory cuts it in a nice straight line, right? We go out to play the second half, and he's cut the sleeves up to about here. And he's standing across, like a state of me, man. Like a state of me. He cut the sleeves that short. So he did. He ended up having to pay for a new Ballymena shirt. Like, he cut the sleeves up like a tank top. He running around with the arms out the whole second half. Absolute clown. But what a brilliant lad. Like I say, we had Rory Hamill and Jody Tolan playing up front together, and see the two of them. My God, see, you've knocked the ball up there and I stay up there for a fortnight, so we'll do, you know, them boys. Trying to get around the two boys' arses, you know, was a long way, like a roundabout. They were brilliant, lads.
Gary, I remember, see the night we got awarded our pro licence. It was up in the Welly Park, and Northern Ireland were playing somebody, and we were down to the game. But I'm walking up towards the gate to go into Windsor, and I just spied, you know, the scar in his chin. But he had the peak pulled right down over his, and the next thing I walked up and I went, "Come on!" And he went, walk on, sir. And I says, "I'm going to nip you." He says, "Don't, I'm going to have to arrest you." I said, "You're going to arrest me?" He says, "Yes, my sergeant's over there, walk on. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "How did you know it was me?" I says, "It was the scar made it just give it away there."
So boy, I'm not joking. Rory Hamill, one of the most recognisable guys right in football, managed to talk himself into going away with the Northern Ireland team to the Euros as a spotter. So he was in amongst the Northern Ireland fans and that, like, everybody knows Rory and everybody knows his background and what he does for a profession, like he does. And there he was away at the Euros, in amongst, supposed to mix with the Northern Ireland fans and that there and get on like a fan to spot the hooligans or any troublemakers. Rory knows Northern Ireland fans know troublemakers. How he managed to talk himself in, one of the most recognisable guys in the Irish League, and he's in amongst the ranks of the Green Right Army. Thanks around.
He didn't really want to get lifted. He's a headfinger.
Free trip to France he had. Like, he spent the whole summer in the Euros, so we did watching all the games as a spotter for Northern Ireland. But anyway, that's Rory, like, isn't it? You could talk about most things.
He used to see if you were sitting eating your dinner, say you had a burger and chips, say after a game or wherever you were, say pre-season friendly, whatever. He would have just came along, stuck his finger right in the middle of your burger, and held it up in the air and went, "Who ordered a burger? Who ordered a burger?" You couldn't eat it.
Him and Tim McCann, they used to call each other monkey neck, hey monkey neck. They used to always shout at Tim McCann, call him monkey neck, so he had a monkey head. Flat out, like the whole time, would you see the two of them just going backwards and forwards, and the laughs of the two of them. Some character.
Here, before I forget, I'd be remiss of me not to say that I think Tierney and Seamus and Timmy have done a great job of Lauren down there. They've done very well, haven't they?
They've done, like, well, Marty not there's a player not there playing for him. I think it's the style. Do you mean it's the most evident thing in that there? Like I say, you can go in there and you can try and win games with good players. Good players will get you so far, not like to me, but it's hard to really stamp that kind of style on things. But like, I suppose, but when you go and watch Lauren play, I think that's the biggest thing. Two centre half split, dropping in and getting on it, playing out from the back, and then you build attacks. See, whenever they say they did the goal of the month competition, Marty, and you remember the goal of the month competition, and Lauren were in every one, but it was about 2 minutes long, so it was, and they had to fast forward it because it was about 30 passes in the build-up to finish, you know what I mean? It was about 3 months in a row, it was like that, and them type of goals that you score, and I suppose during them draws, that's what you probably, the only thing that was missing was the end to them. We got ourselves in so many great positions. The build-up play was fantastic. The football was great. Broke the team down. Not like we played through, and we just didn't quite finish it off. Otherwise, not that you'd have been another 10 goal of the season contenders there, and that's been the difference, I suppose, from. And Marty says that extra little bit of belief that we have the quality out there to get the end of it, and get that goal and finish off great moves and stuff that they've been doing. But the amount of time, like I said, and I'm not just saying it. It's worth the entrance fee alone to go around and watch Marty and Tomas play together. It's just, I don't know the relationship. I know you're tight and good friends not there, but that relationship is like telepathic. I play centre midfield, and seeing no one in your head that whenever Jerry played left back, right? I mean, you knew Jerry was going to go. So I just knew as soon as Jerry was going to go, I'd slot across that and fill that gap, just let him go every time. He had an unbelievable engine. Jerry just go. And big trigger would have came in off the wing. Jerry would have gone down the side and I'd slide across and cover that side. You just knew. But them two have that telepathic understanding, like, do you know what I mean? And it's really, really first class to watch.
Here, I have to pull you in something that be VIP treatment would be going to be no entrance fee.
Yeah. Speak to the owner.
I haven't played into an Irish League game in my life.
I'd be something to say Jerry Donnelly.
He is a good player.
Here's our regular feature. So, Gary, give us your 4-ball. You take the golf club after for a pint.
I sent this through to you, somebody. You're going to have to remind me. Let me think. And I'm a United man. So you did. So you'd maybe have your bestie there, like to me, wouldn't you? Like to me, because in the day, a few stories. He's bound to have a few stories, aren't they? But Big Gareth McCauley is a good big mate of mine from the Korean days. Now, like to me, I couldn't leave him out. He'd be good banter in the bar afterwards. Like quiet, wouldn't say a word the whole way around the golf course, but he'd be decent in the bar afterwards. Marty doesn't like him because his comments about Celtic racing. all that side. All that side of the community fall out with Big G, like to me. Yes, because of his comments. I'm trying to think who else we would have. We'd have to have Rory McIlroy in there, I suppose, for golf. I've gone off the boat because I sent 4 through, but I couldn't think who else I sent.
Kelly Jones, you said? Who's that?
Yeah, Kelly Jones for a bit of entertainment afterwards in the bar, a few tunes.
I don't even know who Kelly Jones is, guy.
Stereophonics.
See, I'm not a music man, I have no clue.
No, Kelly Jones, Stereophonics. That would be my 4. I would take them boys and that lead me all day long. That would be a good wee company in the bar afterwards, definitely.
Brilliant. Marty, what about you, man?
Nearly every story I have is like your man, Ken Caldwell, plays for Reds. One of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life. We had just signed for Lauren, and obviously me, him, and the Ramsey used to travel up together. And then he said one day, "Look, this drive up's getting boring." And I'm like, "We're only going to Georgetown. It's only 50. Watch this." So he started taking the work van home when he wasn't supposed to. But it's one of them ones that's boarded up. And he made us used to sit in the back. But see, get up on the motorway every day. He used to do that there. He used to be flying around the back. Tunes pumping. So he done it one night and we thought it was funny. He made us do it for 3 months. I swear to God, every day. He used to turn up. He used to go, "Right, it's my turn." He used to put in the van. "Right, let's go, Marty." So I'd have to have him in it. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met in football. He's a good lad.
He's a great lad.
you'd have to have Tiger in. You'd have to just have Tiger in. Obviously, one of the greatest ever. And like you said, for entertainment value, you'd have to have Madame Frankie. We're up in the Grove most days doing the training, and I tell you this now, we're playing this head tennis game, and it's just for us boys just to get a bit of fitness and stuff. So see at the end, we'll just do it to get our touch. See by the end of it, they have all us off the pitch, and it's them two going, "You're an effing idiot, you're this, you're that, that's this." I'm telling you this now. See, you just want to, if you're a bit bored or anything, come up about 3 o'clock in the Grove, and honestly, you just see the two of them going mental at each other. Frankie has knee pads, elbow pads, done.
I played in the same team as both of them. Did he do the pitch as well?
He says today, tell Big Simba, didn't I get him Theatre Climble? See what he says about that? He said he got me Theatre Climble.
He did. Here, Parsi was looking rid of him. He was afraid to get rid of Frankie in case he knocked him out. So he likes me and Mickey McKay as well.
I heard he said that too.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, lads, that was magic. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you very much for coming along. I know, Jerry, you'll have similar sentiments.
100%. Great talking to the two lads. Fantastic. Thank you, lads.
Pleasure, Jerry.
Seriously. And I really wish you all the best with Lauren. Obviously not when you're playing Clipmore, but every other time.
Cheers.
Legend, big man. G. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, lads. Cheers. Speak to you soon.
All right, chat to you soon, lads. Thanks very much.
Top man, boys. Good luck.